Oh, hello, hello, hello. All right, we are back again on another Super Sunday with What in the World Radio. Thank you so much for everyone for joining me promptly. Um, Hope you're able to stick and stay with us. We have a very fun and exciting show today. Ooh, let me make sure this is not. Can someone let me know if it's too loud? Hello, Sasa. Hello, Cat. Oh, they're all gone. Um, if someone can let me know if my audio is too loud, that'll be very much appreciated because I can never really tell. Eh? Why is it not that? Okay, just tighten it. Just stay loose. Stay there. Okay, all right. I think this is it. This is what we're looking for. Let me just check that my loudness is around 150. Okay, 150. Oh, 200 is a bit too loud. Change it to 150. All right. Okay, I think we're good. Calling all Nigerians. Calling all Nigerians. Oh, hello, curated. I was just speaking to you. There we go. Let's kick off strong.
You not speak to yourself
You're
until
trying to
people
what?
come in. So I'm just trying to keep you company so you don't speak to yourself until people come in.
Like a lunatic. That always happens. I think my viewership or listenership has dropped in the past few. I'm not sure if that's because of my controversy, or if it's just because it's summertime and people are out or whatever.
Do you know something funny?
What's up?
I'm on Be My Eyes. Do you know the app Be My Eyes? It's like an app where you can just download and you can be a volunteer, and basically it's for blind people, and you can get a random call. So if a blind person needs assistance, you just use the app, and then if you're a volunteer you get a call, and then it could be just, oh, like, what pattern is this, or can you help me find this, or what channel is this, or my computer is showing, like, tell me what my computer is saying. So I get a call from a guy yesterday, and he's like, well, I answered a call yesterday, and the guy was like, oh, well, he wanted me to help him find his hat. So we eventually found it, and he was like, oh, and can you search up this person and tell me what they look like? Jason, Arday. I'm not even joking.
Aww. So it's just like
I,
they're not like keeping up. They're keeping up, but they can't quite get what's like. Not being able to
he,
picture the world must be so difficult.
right. So he's like, can you describe what he looks like to me? Because I
How
heard
did you
something.
describe him?
I said, well, in my opinion, I think he looks queer. He has long.
Is that part of the description? Is that relevant? The man's married and he has two kids, by the way.
But I know, but he looks more femme presenting as him for a man,
Because
in
his
my
hair's long.
opinion. Yeah, no. I mean, he wears eyeliner, so I think that was what he wanted to get. Like, how much makeup does he wear?
Oh, I
Because
just
he
wanted to
had a
get like, yeah, to be
comment.
fair, I guess good point. If you actually need to describe someone to someone like that, I can't see, you do need to add other
Yeah,
story. Wait,
exactly.
could the guy see before and then he couldn't see anymore? Or could you could just always
I
not
don't.
see?
I mean, I didn't ask for his backstory. I just was trying to
I
help
mean,
him
that
get
would be
the
useful
call.
for you to help him to describe something. If you what you see before could be a good reference point to like what you can
Ah,
picture and
fair enough.
imagine
Fair
now,
enough.
right?
Fair enough. Yeah.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
Did he have any opinions on like the story, or was he just like,
Yeah. He proceeded to share his
of
opinions.
course he did. Everyone has an opinion. People say, well, why are you still talking about it? Everyone has an opinion. It's like the biggest story in the country.
Yeah.
You can't have an opinion. Fair enough. Are you tapped into Nigeria stuff about this
Of
these
course I
people?
am.
Do you
Of
know much
course
about?
I
Because basically, my main story today was going to be about the guy in the middle, who's
am.
Yoruba, but I seem to not understand how to pronounce his name because I can't get
Sure.
what the Yoruba translation should be. So I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say, but I'll think
Oh.
about it later. Because I was wondering, given how popular Peter Obi is, why is
Hmm.
Shori not more popular? Given that he seems to be like at least walking the walk in terms of advocacy and going to prison a few times. So why is it like people are looking at people like someone like Peter Obi who was in the machine, the PDP, for a long
Mm.
time, as opposed to someone who seems like, at least from the outside looking in, more down for the cause, shall we say? Do you have any
I think
opinions on
that's
that?
exactly why. I think Shore lacks, like, he hasn't shown experience in actual governance.
Oh, okay.
So we can't, like, he's no doubt like a freedom fighter.
Yeah.
He's from his university days. He's been an advocate since day one. He he's also the founder of Sahara Reporters, which is,
No way. He founded Sarah
yeah,
Reporters.
Yeah, if I'm
Hmm?
not mistaken. Don't quote me, but I believe so.
When I first
Um,
started like tapping into Nigerian news, thank you for the likes, wisdom. Join us. If you have any opinions on this, I'd love to hear from you. Um, when I first started getting information about Nigeria, that's kind of where I got it for Sahara Reporters. I know they're based in America somewhere, something like that.
yeah, he's the
I think
founder, or
so.
probably one of the founders. And
Sahara
he
Reporters.
platformed people like, I don't know if you're on YouTube, if you watch Dr. Damages or Keeping It Real,
Nah.
like they're basically like these people that these create like satirical coverage about Nigerian news like in the
Mm.
late 2010s. So he platformed them. So that's how I got to know about him. But yeah, so someone just confirmed that he created Sahara
Yeah, I
Reports
just
in
checked it. Yeah,
2005.
I just confirmed. I
Yeah.
just googled it now. Yeah, he did actually.
Yeah, so that's
2005.
how I got to know about him. And then he shared his life story. Like, and since uni, he's been an advocate since uni. So I mean, we know him for that. Like, he's good for that. But I personally haven't like seen him govern. Like, I haven't seen his governance abilities. But personally, what I would like to see is perhaps if like someone like Peter Obi won, I would like to see Shore as a head of EFCC or head of some kind of like.
He's not sniffing anywhere near any government institution. That's a fact. That's a fact. It's probably a bit too radical for. I mean, I get that pushback, but I think it'll be the same pushback people give to like someone like maybe like a Jeremy Corbyn. I guess until Jeremy Corbyn actually became leader, right? Like, oh, it's just this backbencher has always like care about his issues. I think if anything, that gives you more credibility. I'd say, right? Because you're not already baked into the establishment where you've been corrupted. Whereas people like Peter Obi, again, people seem to be singing his praises right now. Um, I wait to see, when people start campaigning against him, the kind of stuff that comes out about him. But like, if you're part of the machine and you've been governor and stuff, there's no doubt you've been involved in some level of corruption. Like, we know how Nigeria works. You can't just be like completely clean, as it, quote unquote, and make it to a position like governor. You have to kind of grease the wheels, as it were. So, wisdom. Do
Yeah,
you know anything about this? These people? Do you want to come and give us your thoughts? You seem knowledgeable on this.
you're welcome, wisdom. For me, I personally think if Shore was appointed like head of the FCC or head of one of these like, you know, institutions and got to really show
Oh
himself,
yeah, that would set him up for.
that would be exactly
Okay,
that would set
okay,
him up
okay.
well. But as for Peter Obi, I personally don't want to put him into the trap of the Messiah trap. I think I just coined that phrase now, where
Give yourself some credit. Okay, fair enough.
of course referencing me. Where he is like, so take for example with Jonathan, then this is what I think happened, where there's an obvious bad option, but the somewhat decent option you want to hold to an impossible
Oh
standard.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And I think that's kind of what's happening to him now. Like, yeah, obviously he's not perfect, like no shit, but compared to someone like Tinubu, who is literally trying to Tinubu set
Privatize the
up.
country, basically.
Right, exactly. I was gonna say he set up shit so his family can run it and he can
Yeah,
like, so yeah, like exactly. Like he's trying to make the country work so he can profit off of it like
yeah, yeah,
directly.
exactly.
And yeah, so it's like you have to just weigh options. Kind of, and I think that's where we were in 2014 as well, where we had Jonathan who wasn't perfect, but compared to Buhari, he was better. But they were like, yeah, but he's useless, but he's this, and you're holding him to an impossible standard that you're not even holding Buhari
Right,
to.
right, right, right.
And I think that's kind of what's happening to Peter Obi right now.
Yeah, Peter Obi. I think it was a couple of years ago. I think there was someone that passed away or something. I think it was like a dictator, a former dictator of Nigeria or whatever, and he kind of released a message. Was it Atiku or something? He released a message saying like, oh, like congratulating him or something. And people were coming at him saying, wait, why are you congratulating and talking nicely about the people that you're meant to be like going in there to kind of take down and I guess challenge or whatever. I don't remember exactly
Yeah,
who
I
the person
vaguely
was.
remember that story. I vaguely remember it. But again, that's an impossible standard. Like again, you're comparing to people like Atiku. Atiku,
Hello, Lita. How are you?
hi Lita. Atiku. Yeah, I'm sure you know about Deborah, the Deborah
Oh yeah, that
young
was
girl that was.
completely disgusting. Oh my
And then you
god.
had Atiku release a tweet.
Yeah,
You know that
talking about
part, and
I didn't actually say that. It was someone else released it.
no,
You
no, no,
should be
no, no,
saying it.
no. Yeah, right, right. So backpedaling like that. So my point is, if you want to crucify Peter Obi for recognizing, I think he was a statesman, maybe a former head of states who obviously did bad things. Fair enough, but that's not as bad as fucking. I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
that's sounding.
it's not that serious in my opinion.
Maybe what do you make of the fact that, like, again, maybe we get into the weeds here a little bit. Why not? Like, Peter Obi now bounced around from the PDP to the Labour Party. Now, is he ADC? Is in now? Or what is he now?
He's in NDC now.
NDC. Okay, it's hard to keep up with all these three-letter acronyms. So he's in NDC now. I think it seems to me like from the outside looking in, Tinubu's probably going to win going away.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like to me as well. I mean, him bouncing from party to party, I think is more of an indictment on the ruling party creating a hostile, like creating or interfering in other parties and not allowing competition, like not allowing fair party, I don't know what to
Yeah,
call it.
competition. Yeah.
Yeah, because you look at every single party, you look at PDP, for example, they used Wike as their pawn within the party to completely disrupt the party affairs. PDP is now a shadow of what it used to be.
Shell. They have 4 governors.
Right. And Wike is still in PDP.
Yeah, but then somehow he's an APC like major
Right.
spokesperson, and he's like a
And
double agent or or
yep.
something crazy like that. He's basically like, it seems like the plan is for him to try to run it in APC's next primary as
Hmm.
like some kind of Faustian bargain of like, I'll help you guys destroy, which again makes no sense because PDP wasn't really going to challenge APC, and maybe they could have if they didn't have to mess with like Wike and who was the guy that was Atiku that ended up winning the nomination, wasn't it? So
Hmm.
maybe is Atiku still in PDP? I'm guessing he can't go anywhere
No,
else,
he's
right?
left as well. I
He's left
think
as
he
well.
left.
Oh my god.
So Peter Obi, Atiku, and all of them, they moved to ADC together.
Atiku and Peter Obi are the same party now.
Were in the same party. So Atiku, people like Atiku Erufai, Rotimi Amici, they moved into ADC together. And again, APC used the same tactics. They got people within the ADC party to cause problems, and then there were issues about the primaries, and then Sibitabi got up and left as well and went to NDC, and then APC tried to do the same thing at NDC. They tried to basically they wanted to go to a party that I think perhaps Peter Obi would have benefited from in the last elections, the level of support he had from especially young people
Making his own
to
thing.
register a new party
Yeah.
and just start from the ground up. But it seems like he wants to go to an already established party that at least it's already
Gives him a
registered, maybe not
realistic chance
known.
of like winning as soon
Yeah,
as, because you hear that debate happens in the West as well, right? Like, okay, should we just abandon the Labour Party and just do a Green stuff, or because
right.
Labour already has like a bunch of MPs, do we have more of a better chance of making the difference in the party? And
Hmm.
yeah, I guess I can't begrudge anyone that has any different kind of positions, but I'd say like obviously these politicians are also extremely ambitious people and ostensibly do these things for personal gain, right? Like the the goodness they'll do, quote unquote, is usually incidental.
Yeah,
First and foremost is like a personal ambition, and so yeah, the fact that he's jumping from party to party suggests to me again like he's just trying to triangulate which one gives me the best chance of winning. But like I agree with you. If he genuinely was about the movement, which obviously he probably isn't, after last election, especially if you win somewhere like Lagos, which is a monumental achievement
right.
as like a smaller
Hmm.
party, just coalesce it because maybe if you want to be president in that kind of way, you have to look at like maybe like a 3 presidential election horizon, not just a one, because
Mm,
you're not going to win in next election. Like if someone wins one thing, the chance of them getting re-elected anywhere in the world is usually prohibitively high. Like even in America, if you win one, you're most likely like, there's not many one-term presidents. So if you really want to create a change, starting a new party and kind of pushing it. Thank you for the likes, whoever that is. Keep it coming. Let's get more people in here. I'm curious to speak to Nigerian experts. Obviously, Kyria and I don't live in Nigeria. So I mean, I have even less knowledge than she has. But I'd appreciate anyone. Like, we're in August 2026, so it is very much election season, and this is probably something I probably should have been
no,
doing
they
earlier.
the campaigns had kicked off. I think they kicked off this week.
Okay, exactly. So it's very much that time. So I think we should try and follow this at Wayne World Radio as it progresses, and maybe we'll do specifically niche stories when stuff starts to come up, like something important or whatever. I think the Oshun governorship elections is probably something we should also touch on as well. So if anyone knows anything about Davido's uncle, I should even try and find a picture for that to put it on the back. If you have any information or knowledge about that, I'd love to speak to you. Obviously, Osun State was one of the few states that the PDP still has the governorship there, and
Yeah,
anyone that
but
doesn't know
then is
how
it really independent
exactly.
when
I was about to say like anyone that
it's
doesn't know how Nigerian politics works, ostensibly the way the corruption at the presidential election level works is that if your party is the governorship for that state, you make it so that somehow you win the state. That's kind of how it works. But the very first
It's called delivering your state.
delivering
So
it
you have
exactly.
to
That's the saying.
deliver your
I
state.
can guarantee we'll deliver Edo State for President Tinubu. That's kind of how it goes. So the PDP and the Osun State elections that happened recently with Davido, exactly, he supports an APC. I should probably put a picture of him on here. It was one of the few states that PDP still has, but given exactly the kind of support that they seem to be enjoying now, and is the governor basically declaring like, I'm going to support Tinubu for the presidential election. He said because he's Yoruba. Foolish tribalism, but I'm guessing it's also partly because he allowed him to win the governorship election. So Nigeria is very much approaching a one-party state system, which I don't know, horrifying news. We talked the other day about are we better off as a dictatorship? I don't think we have to maybe ask that question anymore. I think I think we're already there now, so we just have to see what the results look like for ourselves. So that's kind of where we are. We haven't spoken today about Tinubu himself, but again, the initial tenor of this live stream was meant to be, why is Shori not more popular? I think so far the kind of what we've arrived at is that I think him being a very strong activist actually kind of hurts him. It seems like when you're such an activist, people don't think of you as like being a leader. I think you have that in the same sense of like, you see, Nigel Farage is kind of similar, where he's done so much activism in terms of this issue, the immigration issue, for so long. I can't really picture him being prime minister. And a lot of people even say that I don't think he even wants to be prime minister. Yeah, I don't know how true that is,
I
but
think
like,
also same with Bernie Sanders as well.
right,
It's kind of
exactly.
tricky to make that transition from being like maybe being president.
Yeah, so it's one of those ones that's very much a tough one. But yeah, it's election season in Nigeria. Should probably change that. Who are you guys supporting for elections? I want to hear from you. Are you supporting Peter Obi? Are you supporting Shori, who doesn't seem to have many supporters? Are you supporting Tinubu again and saying, you know what, he's done it once. Let's see if he can do it again. I don't know exactly what you say. I'd love to know exactly what he's done, but you can come and tell me. Are you supporting Atiku? You don't really hear many Atiku supporters, but somehow the guy always wins the PDP nomination. Maybe that's not worth much anymore, given recent events with the PDP. But what do you guys think? I want to get more Nigerians in there. And again, it's my fault for not planning this one properly because I've had a very wretched week. Just a long week. Everything's long. It's a tough one when your personal life just has to crash with like or clash with all these all your professional ambitions. If I overshare a little bit, basically my ex-girlfriend reached out to me, and that just kind of scrambled my head a little bit.
Oh wow.
So I don't know. I just wasn't prepared for that. Really, it wasn't really something I expected to happen.
Sounds like there's a story there.
I mean, is it unethical for journalists to cover themselves? I don't know.
No. It starts with you.
Which journalists cover themselves? I guess that would be more of a blog or like a autobiography. No, not autobiography. It's a bit dramatic. Like a personal blog. But I did think about doing like a blog where I just talk about like random stuff that happens in my life. I don't know how interested people will be in that, but I think also I'm a stickler for keeping record. So regardless of whether or not the thing has actual importance, I think it's just always useful and important just to keep a record of stuff that happens. So I think I might start doing that. The laziness aspect of that is like you have to write it, and when I'm writing a blog about myself, I'll be honest, I don't really want to care about that writing stuff. I just want to get my thoughts out. So I'll probably preface the first one by saying like, don't expect anything fancy.
Yeah.
Are you a record keeper yourself?
It depends. I mean, personally, like I hate putting my person on social media, so I don't really. Hence why my account is faceless.
Interesting. I mean, kind of what I do has to kind of be that, but I do fancy myself as like a couples content creator.
Really, I would die. I would
Really?
hate I would literally rather die.
I mean, I guess it depends if you think about it from a perspective of like I mean, again, I'm in the content creation business already, so the bigger your personality, the more people are interested in what you have to say.
Yeah, of course.
So from a tactical, not saying I would do that, but from a tactical perspective, it probably is worth like people just know more about me.
I mean, even with my business, like I don't associate with my business, so nobody knows that I own it. I don't post anything. I don't post my face. I don't I'm completely separate from it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a sharer slash oversharer by default, to be honest. So it all comes with a package. Anyway, this is Davido and his uncle. Oh, Jazz is back. I always love how the people that beef me always come back. I think it's a testament to how open I am on my live streams.
Yeah, I feel like we've lost the art of disagreeing with people and
We have,
just getting on.
we have.
Yeah.
People always brag about the fact that they unfollow and block everyone. Oh my god, I just be blocking people. If you see anything I don't like, unfollow, block, mute. And it really explains a lot of the reason why we have the polarization we have in a lot of our discourse. Even like men versus women, uh, dark skin versus light skin. If you want to go there, like there's always all these different tribes that are being drawn and redrawn constantly because someone has a disagreement with you on issues. And I even made a video the other day saying it's healthy to have people you just disagree with that you follow just because a lot of times they can have useful information about stuff that you didn't really know about. And also disagreeing with people just helps sharpen your views overall. Jazz, I'm not saying you beefed anyone per se. I remember when you came on live stream about Jason. Initially, you started off a bit frosty. We got over it quickly, right? But like, I just remember it being a bit frosty. That was like the most hostile live stream I've ever hosted. Um, but it's funny because all the people that didn't stay, I just came up on your feed. Well, that's what I aim to do. I want to infiltrate everyone's phone. I like government app that makes the noise when when there's a problem. I went to a games night on Saturday. I called you strange because you were behaving a bit strange. I went to a games night on Saturday, and someone recognized me there and actually asked to take a picture with me. They were like,
How did you feel?
"Well," I took it humbly.
You felt special,
I
didn't
felt,
you?
I mean, I am special. There's a joke we used to make in secondary school when someone said they were special, but I don't think it's correct to make that joke anymore.
My cousin makes that joke all the time with me because like I always feel special because like I'm O negative and I'll be like, oh my god, my blood is so special, and he will, yeah, you are really special.
But yeah, I felt it felt nice. It felt nice. I call that second level metrics. And when you do anything, you have second and third level metrics. So your first level metrics in terms of content creation will be like your number of followers growing, brand deals, all that kind of stuff. But for you to get to that stage, you have to be watching your second and third level metrics and name recognition. So random people out of nowhere in the UK or in London just recognizing you from online is and asking to take a picture with you, which sounds like at least they want to be associated with you. That is excellent second level metrics because if there's one person like that, there probably is maybe 10 or 15 or maybe 100. And the more you grow that kind of way, the more because that's a note. And also, if you think about it, it also means that I'm eliciting opinion and reactions, which is kind of what you want to do, even from a business perspective. Like every brand, every business, you want people to feel something when they watch your stuff. Either way, agree, disagree, or indifferent. You not well, indifferent. You don't want. You want agree or disagree. Ideally, especially when you're giving opinions, right? You want people to be able to say like I disagree or I agree with you because that's important. So I say all that to say like those are excellent second level, third level metrics. Um, I do have other stuff I want to talk about today. So if I'm not getting any Nigerians in the audience, I might switch to another interesting topic, which is to do with
But
women.
what are your thoughts on Davido and Ocean State elections?
I mean, it's not surprising. Let's just say, but one of the videos I made about this was to do with the fact that identity politics. Hey, happy birthday, happy Sunday. I haven't seen her in ages. It's been a long time since I saw you. And I'm not gonna
Hi,
call.
I mean, you're not gonna say her
I'm not
name.
gonna call her that.
I'm
I'm
gonna
not
say her
gonna call
name
her that.
always. Hi, Odogu. Shout out to you, girl.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I can't call you that. I think
It's low-key
she actually
misogynistic,
told me her name the other day.
It's low-key misogynistic to
What
not
does Udu
say
actually
her.
mean?
I don't know.
I think
Like
it means
it's a
like king or something. It must be
title.
like a male like king or something. It's not like a.
It's like boss man. Like I don't know,
So she's
like
a woman. It
chief.
doesn't even apply.
So what?
So I don't want to misgender her because it's incorrect.
She's dull. She clearly doesn't mind. It's a
It means
title.
a great man. It means a great man, leader, warrior, or champion. All
Yeah,
right.
leader, warrior,
I'm sorry.
champion.
Do you
Period.
identify as a okay?
Leader, warrior, champion. Period.
The cultural significance of the term means that I can't quite use it. You're
Oh
a warrior and a
please.
champion. All right, I guess we'll see. All right, I do want to talk about some women topics. So I'm going to try and see if I can find my Twitter. This light is getting in my way.
It's funny. Can you guess? It's funny that Odogu's name or her name on TikTok translates to warrior. Do you know what my real name translates to?
Fighter, because you're always fighting everyone.
Yeah, you think that, but it's the opposite. My real name translates to peace.
No way.
I'm so
Now,
serious.
if that is like that's oxymoronic if I've ever heard of. That's not in peace.
Like it's so funny because in real life, every time I tell people what my name translates to, they're like, "No way!" Like my parents having a laugh.
You fight everyone. All right, I
I
want.
don't fight everyone. That's
Okay.
not true.
I mean, you enjoy spirited discourse, which is nothing wrong with that, to be
Yeah,
honest. I want to transition to a topic. Maybe we'll come back to the Nigeria stuff later on, guys. But let's transition to a bit more of it because I do have a few things to cover today. Let's do an interesting, exciting topic. Do I have to censor this because I think TikTok might not be happy with me once I show this? All right, let me get rid of this. I'll just hide it. I want to talk about feminism, especially as it relates to the online space. I should probably censor this somehow. I don't know how to because TikTok is going to take me down. I did a video about this, which I don't know if I've posted it already, but I wanted to discuss. I won't say online feminism. I think that's a pejorative thing to say, but there is a brand of feminism that strays into gender essentialism that then strays back into sexism, and it's becoming increasingly popular. Now, this is in with the backdrop of I think we generally have young people are actually quite conservative nowadays. Now, a lot of them view that as like being progressive. So you and I just talked about like people losing the art of being able to disagree. A lot of them
yeah.
consider like seeing stuff they disagree with and blocking or like removing that person as a progressive thing to do because the way they
Mm.
see it is like that opinion is violence or something. When they always see something along those lines, and so you blocking or trying to censor it is actually meant to be a progressive thing because you're meant to be protecting the people that will be offended by that.
Well, it's because people, like identity politics, basically, people now identify with their, like, they see their opinions as themselves.
Mm,
So if you're attacking their opinion, you're attacking them. So blocking you is protecting themselves because
right.
they've personified their, yeah.
Agreed. And that's why I said I talked about like superimposing your political identity onto the world. So you see yourself
Yeah.
as someone who's this, and you have to make everything in the world conform to that way that you see the world. And it doesn't occur to you that actually sometimes it doesn't, and you just need to adjust the way you see the world. And so a lot of people retweeted or like interacted with this, kind of agreeing with it, quote unquote. And so, some people had to be reminding them that hold on a minute, guys. A, women have choice in this, but also B, the emergence or the discovery or the invention of the birth control pill or whatever it
Was to
is
empower
was
women,
actually
to help
quite
women.
it was a
Yeah.
it's seen as a very very good breakthrough for women because it gives you more choice in terms of your reproductive options, and it actually gives that choice to you personally because you can just unilaterally choose to do that and shut it off. Like it's not a discussion between someone and someone else on like what should we use together. So again, this tweet is not meant to be read in isolation. Is my view. It does speak to the health and again, even if the health conditions were not relevant here, I call you billions, it would still be important in the sense of like even if you're just purely doing it because of this reason, a woman is still allowed to do that because then the third part of that is now like shaming, almost like you're shaming a woman for choosing to want to do that, even if it's a purely sexual thing. That's okay too. It doesn't have to even be some kind of like, oh, hey, but I use it for this other health reason or whatever. But what do you why do you think we are seeing that increase in the, I guess you call it identity politics? Why do you think that's emerging? Because I have my own theories, but I want to hear what your thoughts are if you've given it any thought at all.
I think a number of things have triggered us to the
Hey
point of where we
guys,
are.
good
Hello,
Hi,
morning.
Ojogu.
Oh, maybe it's not morning for you guys. Sorry.
ah,
It's morning for me.
where are you?
I'm in America.
Ah, okay, all right, I'm listening.
But
Wait, sorry,
so
Kira, I think Kira was going to answer, and you can go after her.
sorry.
It's okay, it's okay.
No worries at all. I'm gonna like go make lunch, so I'm just gonna say this quickly, then I'll be back.
All right.
But yeah, I think a number of things shaped people, got people to this point. I think US politics was a big one. I think 9/11. I think the Trump presidency, and I think the final nail in the coffin was COVID. I think COVID became a battleground where a lot of identity politics just came through. The anti-vaxxers came out. It just seemed like a lot of opinions came out, and then people then started existing in bubbles during COVID as well. And I think it's just built since then. But yeah, so that's my, and then social media, of course, like Heartfelt said.
Okay, yeah, I agree with all those takes. We'll expand on them when you're back. Enjoy your lunch. All right. Shall I call you Billions today?
I really don't understand the difficulty in calling me a dogu. Like,
We'll have to discuss
cause
that at a later date.
no, I honestly, I think there's nothing wrong with being called a dogu.
I didn't say anything's wrong with it.
Then why are you so against calling me by my name?
By your name, will you stop it?
Yes,
By your
it's my
title.
name. Why
By your
not?
title.
Yes, by my title.
I
Because
don't, I
even
don't, I don't
I
believe
feel
in
like
title. I believe in the equality of all human beings.
it is well. I actually thought when you posted this tweet, I thought you were going to like, I don't know. I think there's so many different angles that I see this from because I was initially coming from like the sexual education
Mm.
part of it
Mm-hmm.
because I kind of think something I've noticed, and I think it's because of like, well, I will start by saying this, and I mentioned this in the comments. I think Black people at baseline are actually quite
Oh
conservative
yeah, yeah,
people.
yeah. Okay, yeah.
But I think that there's this perception that they're not, largely because they're Black, but that's not true. Like between the like extreme religiosity, and I've seen this amongst like different span of Black cultures.
Yeah.
But like even when you see like Nigerians love Trump, all those many different things, because those kind of conservative ideals align with their actual opinions. It's
Yeah.
just because of like those racist sentiments that they are not like are no longer considered conservative.
Mm.
And I think like many Black communities idea of being liberal or open-minded is still not, is still quite conservative. So I'm not surprised in seeing young people being very conservative because of the environment that they grew up in. At least if I'm talking about like Black communities, like it doesn't actually surprise me. I feel like a lot of the people who are more like liberal are usually people who have identities that go against the grain of what they were taught, and so they've kind of had to endure that like negative feedback from their community and rise above it. But I
Mm.
think that's why people now believe that like Black communities are what is it called, that Black
Progressive.
communities are now like very progressive, but they never have been. So I'm not surprised to
Mm.
see things go this way.
It's funny you mentioned that because I do want to talk about the wider societal impact of this. Do you see parallels? You're a woman, so do you see parallels in terms of what you just said about like because Black people go through, gone through a lot of these things, people assume you're progressive. I think I see a lot of parallels with women in that as well, where a lot of people think that because women are, I guess, from a patriarchal standpoint, the oppressed population, it follows on that they are instinctively or by nature just more virtuous than every man there is, which to me explains the rise in this gender essentialism we're seeing. A lot of it is baked into like, well, if women are the beleaguered, oppressed gender class or sexual class, whichever one you want to say there, it follows on that then everything they do, who they are, is just more virtuous than a man, because of course a man is part of the patriarchal, oppressive class. What would you say to that? Have you noticed that? Do you disagree with that? How do you?
Oh yeah, I do think so. Like I also think it's like the idea that it also kind of couples with the idea of people thinking that women are like generally more liberal, or like when they get
Mm,
surprised at women's voting politics. But a lot of women actually are okay with benevolent patriarchy. Like they're okay with patriarchy, they just want it to be benevolent.
right,
And
of
by
course.
that standard, they feel like that is equitable. Like so long as they can have some level of
Benefits. If it works for them, you're trying to say benefits,
benefits,
yeah.
or at least a perception of autonomy.
Okay, okay, okay.
You don't necessarily have your autonomy under benevolent patriarchy, but because it's benevolent, it's kind of like a manipulated way of you thinking you do, right? But they're generally okay with it because of being okay with being infantilized, right?
Hmm.
But it just has to be in a way that is like quote and unquote respectful. And that's why I had this conversation with someone the other day that even when I see like the rise of like kind of like the more like forceful, aggressive, like application of patriarchy, and then you also kind of see this side by side of like the benevolent one, and I kind of find that the benevolent one is more successful just because it's kind of like they understand the, I don't want to say the power, but they understand the effect that women have because they're still part of the population, and so it's like appeasing you to a certain degree so you're not as combative, and that there's so that there's more like flow within the society in comparison to seeing the effects of like how the aggressive, like let's be conservative by men, and how that tends to work, and like, you know, so yeah.
All very good points. I actually did a controversial video, I think a few weeks ago, when I said the phrase "believe all women" is a bit like when clubs say women get in for free and men have to pay. And the analogy I made there was kind of like, if you say, like, when clubs say women get in for free and believe a woman, it's because the women are on the menu. Like, the men are coming there to, like, the women are the treat for the evening, basically. They're not like independent human beings in any meaningful way, like in that scenario. And so similarly, I was like, if the default is like you can't challenge what someone is saying because of their gender identity, it's kind of how you treat a child, which is like they have no real agency and they can't be responsible for anything they say, good, bad, or indifferent. So we just instinctively just say, oh, okay, they must be telling the truth. It was an opaque, kind of analogy, but I believed in it. She went on to say women shouldn't have sex with men, period. Oh, maybe the third thing I should say is that there probably is also like a a good, not majority, but like a small minority of accounts on Twitter that exist just to kind of bait people into talking about what they what they say. So this tweet has 6.2 million impressions, which is probably not an accident, and it is based in Africa somewhere. So Elon is paying people for impressions nowadays. So I would say that this is not unique to, again, the internet. This didn't start recently. That shift of like when what do you call it, as what do you call her name, as Curated was saying, that started off from like COVID, because COVID was to me almost the peak of identity and politics. And like, again, usually the way it works is like sometimes it sneaks in because of some valid stuff. Like George Floyd happened. You had Amy Cooper, which I'm going to talk about maybe a bit later on, the woman that reported the guy that was walking his dog in America in New York City, and unfortunately filed a police report, was calling the police on him or whatever. But then he started to shift to like all the different identities. You even had like the kind of light skin versus dark skin back then as well, where there was a correction where people was like, okay, the kind of fetishization of light skinned people that was going on maybe 2010s to like 2013, 14, it was not very healthy. But then it now turned into a combination of, okay, yes, we now find dark skinned people really attractive, but we're gonna go further and actually start mocking light skinned people, maybe calling them, like if they're men, calling them effeminate and weak, and the dark skinned man is just like more masculine and more that kind of stuff. Two, if a woman is light skinned, she's not allowed to celebrate her beauty because she's light, and so if she does that, she's somehow seen to be taking shots at dark skinned women, and she has to apologize, even before she says anything nice about herself. And in fact, I actually saw a tweet recently by some Twitter famous girl, which I think she's gone private now, which is a bit annoying. Let me see if I can find it. And she basically said in that tweet, "Oh, I'm not friends with light skinned women." What? And again, you can tell she's still stuck in that identity obsession. Bear in mind, this girl is not even like dark skin herself. You guys might have seen her tweets. Let me actually see if I can search it up. It's always fun to do. Maybe Twitter won't restrict me today, because usually TikTok doesn't like it when it's this lady right here. She made the tweet. You probably come across it if you're on Twitter. If you're a bit too much online, you might have come across her tweets. But let's see if Twitter.
Yeah, I'm not a Twitter
Oh, okay,
person.
yeah, no, that's probably good for you. That's probably good for you.
Yeah.
You don't want to be, because too many people are online, including myself. But in my defense, that's kind of where I find stories to talk about. I just said, this is what she said. She said this: I don't hang with nothing light skin, and that was in relation to this picture she posted. Which, again, first of all, if you want to get technical, I mean, these women are not the darkest women I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But then
But I guess,
the fact that you tweet this, in 2026 shows you that kind of identity politics obsession I'm talking about, where she thinks this is meant to be some kind of compliment to dark skinned women. But there's no need to like start offending light skinned women just because you wanna you wanna flex
Yeah,
your dark skinned women bona fides. Like everyone's stuck in that kind of identity mud, unfortunately. So
I think like honestly, I don't like, and like I feel like as someone who's light skinned, I don't personally take this like very offensive, and I think it's just because I've seen the way dark skin and brown skin women are like heavily masculinized. So it just kind of like, in one way, it's like, oh, it's kind of like bullying them, but then being like, oh, don't say anything back. So I'm always very indifferent when it comes to this kind of thing. Like,
I
I don't know. Do you get what I mean? Like, I do think the masculinization of dark and brown skinned women is a bit much, and especially the way the media portrays it nowadays. Like, it's almost as if sometimes they're not women, and if they are portrayed as women, it's always in a very negative light. Like, even from media, movies,
not
commercials. Like,
always. I mean, I have to push back on that a little bit.
okay, maybe not always, but like majority of the time, and it's very subtle,
Even that I
right?
disagree with, but I'll let you continue.
You say you would
I
disagree?
disagree with that.
Okay, maybe because also like we're living in different places. Well,
Perhaps.
actually, no. I feel like the UK, you guys have that quite a bit.
I think that's an popular online conversation point to talk about the fact that all these dark skinned women are just all seen as masculine in the real world and even on the online world, especially since at least like 2014, 15, even in fashion. There's almost like a fetishization of dark skinned women has gone completely the other way. If you see a dark skinned woman as tall, slim, that kind of stuff, they're usually models. Like in fact, the darker you are, there's a kind of like, there's a veneration and celebration of dark skinned people to a kind of, respectfully obsequious degree. That again, I think is an overcorrection, but I think it definitely does happen. And this idea that, oh my god, they're all just kind of hating. I don't know.
I don't
I'm sure
know
there's some
if
parts of the internet that still feels that way. But to say in media and in TV this is happening, I will need to see
I think
evidences.
it is
I'll be
happening
honest.
in media and in TV. And I find it so interesting because I feel like the UK is known for the like black men not really, you know, like
For
many men not
swirling
really liking black women and so on and so forth. Um
again, all these are all lies. Stop listening to stuff you get.
these are
Don't read.
lies.
Stop,
I
please stop
don't
believing stuff you read on
know.
the internet.
Because
Stop believing.
when I step foot in the UK, I don't know, but I think that hold on.
Jazz just said you don't remember the UK peace concept. Jazz, I feel like that one's a bit different. But sorry, I'll let you finish before I respond to Jazz. Please go on.
No, it's okay. I kind of lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry if I
No,
contributed
it's
to that.
okay. But yeah, I do think that they are like even the like okay, I may be speaking from a very like American centric point of view, but I do see black men across like different countries, you know, adhering to this, the whole idea of just like masculinizing them, insulting them for like wearing wigs, weaves. All we had this
In
conversation last time I was here.
2026.
In 2026, yes, they
I don't know
do.
what part of the internet you're on.
Yes, they
I do not know what
do.
part of the
Come
internet you're on.
on.
Again,
Like, please. We had this
we're allowed
conversation
things
last
are
time
allowed
I
to
was
change.
here.
If you say 2012 or even 2016, I'll be like, yes. In fact, I promise you, if we do an experiment right now, see this tweet right here. And again, to the credit of a lot of people on the internet, a lot of people point out like it's a weird caption. You and I know no one in their wildest nightmares could say this and replace light skin with dark skin. You could not get away with that on the internet.
No,
The
you
fact that she even
cannot.
felt like she could even make this tweet, even though again a lot of people rightly called it out and said it's a weird caption. But the fact that everyone knows you can't say about dark skinned women shows you that the reality you're describing doesn't exist anymore in 2020, 2026. And it's okay to say
No,
like that's changed. Like we don't have to keep on holding on in perpetuity to like this beleaguered narrative. I'm dark skinned myself as a man, and like maybe it's different for men, right? But like,
it is different
things
for
have
men.
changed. Things have changed.
It's different for men.
Right, go on.
I think that it still exists in 2026, but I think we've just like it's almost like HR is here now, so we've understood a few more things, really. Like 2016, 2012 is like pre-HR politics, but now in 2026 we have HR, but it doesn't mean that these things aren't like still perpetuated, if that makes sense.
I mean, again, you're not going to be able to eradicate it, right? People are going to have views, and there are people that have genuine preferences to darker people or lighter people. So, how much can you get rid of that? Like, if that's a preference that people have, some people see those preferences and say, okay, deep down, and again, it's a fair conversation to have. I'll be honest. Some people see those preferences of people that prefer lighter skinned people and say, this deep down speaks to your internalized colorism. But again, the pushback to that would be like, we're Nigerian. They're like entire ethnic groups of Nigerian people that are just light skinned, generally speaking. Are they all just internalized colorists as well, or they just like people that look like them? That's completely normal. But you hear that in Western societies, and people say like, how much of your preference is truly a genuine preference, even though you can't really have genuine preferences, right? Your preferences romantically are always informed by, societal interest. Again, just a reminder to anyone that just joined the conversation, we are just talking. This is not a conversation we're having in isolation. We're talking about the great young conservative shift, and that started with a conversation to do with women's reproductive. Let me actually bookmark this tweet because I might need it later.
Is it I don't know if I find it a shift, but then also what I was about to say was that, and like, I'm not necessarily trying to do the whole blame game. I think that like the colorism is very much so like internalized, and many of us were indoctrinated to be colorist.
Indoctrinated to be colorist.
You don't, from the bleaching, the like commentary that people got when they were younger, like people have been very much so indoctrinated to be colorist. So it's not just like a pointing the finger thing, but it's also kind of like, oh, like, let's realize where these ideas come from.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, let me respond to Jazz. Jazz, you mentioned the question about, you mentioned reverse colorism doesn't exist. I'll get to that comment in a bit. You mentioned initially earlier about the UK beast conversation. You're not in the UK, so I'll educate you on UK beasts. Billions, you like this? I don't know. Did you come up? Okay, you're not on Twitter, so you didn't come across it. But there was a joke that used to do the rounds on UK social media. Maybe 4 years ago. Was it 4 years ago? 3 years ago? Someone that lives in the UK remind me. And it kind of started off with, I think, to my knowledge, what started off the joke was there was this girl who basically assaulted another girl, I think for talking to her boyfriend or something like that. And she even made a video kind of proudly saying like, yeah, I did that and blah, 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 blah. The girl happened to be of a darker complexion, shall we say. She wasn't even that dark, I don't think. And again, she was very proud of oh, did it start before that, Jazz? Jazz is trying to correct me. Let me listen and wait for Jazz's correction. That was when I remember the what do you call it? The kind of massive uptake. Oh, Jazz wants to come up. Hello. I love talking about culture. I'm making stuff.
Hello?
Hello, Jazz. How are you?
Can you hear me okay? Because I have a fan on.
It's fine. I can hear you fine.
I think you said, from what I remember about the UK Beast conversation, just a few years ago, the trend where you go up to random girls and give them a fist bump and then there's a lollipop. And then they did that in the UK, and the women's reactions in the UK wasn't as nice as compared, I think it was in Paris and France. And then obviously that's where the UK Beast came from.
Is that where it actually first started from?
That's where it first started from.
Internet, right? It's hard to know. So
there was a mix of races in the video, black girls, white girls, different, like London, you know how it is. But then people started saying it only for black women, and you know that yourself, that's true as well.
People started saying what, sorry?
UK Beast only towards black women. Like, you wouldn't see a white woman and call her a UK Beast on the internet anyways.
Yeah, because there's a black conversation. This is black Twitter. We're not talking about black white.
I don't think it was...
Was it white women in the
yeah,
in the
but
Paris
I'm
video?
saying where it originated from. It was London, multicultural London. It wasn't about to do anything about... Say again?
Was there white women in the Paris video?
Yes, of course. Just think of who you'd see walking around in Paris and then who you'd see walking around in London. And then they called the women in the UK-based video UK Beasts.
And you're saying that's because...
And that wasn't based off skin color. It wasn't based off skin color, race, anything like that. It was just UK Beast. Exactly, it didn't start as only a black thing. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Wait, so that's
AJ
what I'm
saying that it
saying.
started only as a black thing.
Wait, no, wait,
You said
what?
it was only on Black Twitter, black
Wait, hold on.
thing.
Let me just try and see some. Well, I mean, it was a black Twitter person that said that, right? Again, I'm on black Twitter, so I don't know what the white people are saying on their Twitter. But wait, I thought your response to me was basically saying like the whole UKB stuff is an example of colorism in the UK. Is that what you're saying?
That's the original point, but I'm just saying where it stemmed from. It didn't stem from black women doing something. It stemmed from just like people say how unfriendly people are in London. That's where it stemmed from.
Okay, thanks for the correction. What's the relationship to the colorism conversation, if I just ask?
Oh, I think if I understand correctly, Jazz, just correct me so I can make sure I get what you're saying. It was basically like, I remember like on YouTube years ago, they used to do those interviews and like the whole lollipop thing. And in London, it was a mixed group of women. Like you would see black, like women of different races, not just black women. But then the negative experience that was experienced by a mixed group of like races of women was only ascribed to black women of the UK.
Huh?
Yes.
Like, yeah, do you get what she's saying now? So it was like a negative experience amongst multicultural London, but that UK beast, you know, moniker or whatever you'd like to call it, was only given to black women of the UK.
And that's why
This
AJ thinks it's now it was a black Twitter thing.
It was a
When
black.
it
The
wasn't.
guy that said that was a black guy. I remember that wasn't a white person that said that. That was a black guy that said that.
Well, just because someone is black and says something doesn't mean that that's for the community. He said it, like I said,
I mean, if I'm talking
in
about dating
response.
experiences of like as I am now, would you assume that I'm talking about like white people dating? Why the hell would I be talking about that? I don't even know. Like these are things that happen at like our DLTs and our like social events that are like 99%.
I get what she's saying. She's basically saying that like
Okay, I think I'm losing the thread a little bit here.
I think you're losing the plot. It's just kind of like you're saying, why are we focusing on like non-black people, right? Whereas she's saying that although this was something experienced by a group of like people, like of different race people, why is it that the negative connotation is only applied to the black women? So it's like singling them out, even though they were not the only people within that negative experience.
But I think the negative connotation, again, now we're getting like into cultural studies, which I love, but I'm not opposing that. I think the negative connotation in relation to black women came from the fact that the two videos, the UK one and the Paris one, again, I don't remember exactly. If I pull it up now or whatever, I'm pretty sure the vast majority of the women in there were black. Like, there might be some Latino people snuck in there or whatever, but ostensibly, it was something that was happening in our black Twitter space. The lollipop stuff, you go and type, fist bump people and do it. People do it. People think someone did that at recess or dapping up tens or whatever. We don't really see white people. I'm sure maybe white people have their own version. But if we're talking about how people in the UK versus how people in Paris reacted to it, and we're saying, oh, the UK people are behaving beastly or whatever, we're making a really black and black comparison. Again, from what it looked like in the video, I think it was one video, but like maybe the Paris girls were more friendly. We're not saying that means like black women. They're both. It's a black and black comparison. Like I don't really see that. But again, the story I was talking about when it comes to the girl, when I saw it started to become prominent for like people started to make the racial / colorism angle, was in relation to that Priscilla girl that did the hot water stuff. Like that was when it started to have like that dark of a connotation. So again, if you're making the point about the racial angle, I guess we can move to that point now, right? Because your point, Jazz, is like that's an example of like colorism against black dark skinned women in the UK. That's the point you're making, right?
Yeah, because I think you said something like I don't want to quote you now, but I think you said something along the lines that black women in the UK are kind of praised, that you see black women as models and such. I don't think that's exactly true, but obviously maybe I could be incorrect.
Oh, and part of what you said about the UKB stuff was that it's an example of black women being treated negatively
Modern day,
because they're like the dark skinned women having a harder time.
Yeah, in the UK.
How so?
I also feel like
Sorry, give me a second. How so?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Baby's conversation, when the whole natural hair conversation was going on as well, it was mostly black women that they were asking to take off their wigs, just things like that. Who was
asking black women to take off their wigs?
The natural hair conversation.
That was going on
on
TikTok.
Yeah, that was on TikTok mostly.
Wasn't that started by a black woman?
Yeah, it
Okay,
was.
so
But I'm saying it was.
is that like she hates herself, or she hates? I don't get the point. Again,
Where
we're
did you
talking
get
more
that
about
from? What I
color,
know?
but like, if your point is that it's some pejorative attack on black women, a conversation about why are we wearing foreign hair, or whatever she was saying, and why don't we wear more of our natural hair? Is that meant to be evidence of people disliking dark skinned women or black women?
No, I
don't
said
understand.
when that conversation was happening. No. I said when that conversation was happening, it was when black people, when darker skinned girls were, giving their points about, the discourse at hand. It was people, telling them to take off the wigs and show their natural hair. It's things like that. And then obviously when you go on, being compared to Mark Henry, football players and things like that, like I think you'd just be lying if you say you don't see that on a lot of darker skinned girls, profiles, when they dare to say something that the masses don't agree with.
I mean, I take your point that people, obviously, if people disagree with you, the internet is a weird place, and they attack you using whatever they think they can. If someone doesn't find you attractive, if they think you have big feet or this or that, and yes, of course, if you're dark skinned and people choose to or want to, what does 3% mean? Attack you because of that. Obviously, of course, we all oppose that, and no one wants any of that to be happening. But maybe we're losing the wider thread of the conversation here. But anyway, I just have someone else on the stage. Let me see what. I think you've been very spirited in the comments. How do I pronounce your name? Toady. Toady?
Just call me Todd. Just call me Todd.
Todd. Hello, Todd.
I've seen your videos before, so when I
appreciate it.
saw you, I was like, I have to say something to you.
Oh wow! You have to say something to me. This is really good.
I have to, bro.
You have to, please.
You know those people who like breed like it's like, oh, it's not me, You particularly breed a sense of like in your comment sections when you make those videos about Nigeria, you breed a sense of like Nigeria's the worst place ever. Like I just see people when I go in your comment section, it's just shitting on Nigeria for things that happen in every country. In the UK it happens, in the US it happens, in every country it happens. But now I'm not saying you don't speak about it, but you basically enable them to just talk shit in your comments. Don't you think that's like awful as a thing you should do? Like even like when you speak about black people like right now, like you should like not get the conversation towards like where people feel comfortable talking shit.
Okay, so should we start with the Nigerian one, or do you want to start with? How do you want to go? What was your question about that? Don't I feel some sense of guilt? Is that what you're saying? I don't get. What's the specific question on the Nigerian one? Sorry.
No, that was just why I was just explaining why I was like why I came in, I guess, hot. Why I came in, like, I guess, aggressive at
Like
you.
came in hot.
It's because I've seen that in your video.
I like when people
before.
come in hot, by the way. I don't bother me. Pause. Well, pause.
But not to distract from the current conversation, the reason why I was disagreeing with you and I was saying you're disingenuous was because every joke online, every joke devolves into let's hate black people. Whether it's the clunker joke, whether it's the UK beast joke, any joke you can think of. UK poo, it started as okay, it's just general thing. Now it's just majorly black people music. It always devolves into black, and the fact that you sort of deny this or sort of like create a reality where that's just not the case, that we've progressed. And I heard Shorty Odogo talking about, oh, we are in the PR era. We are in the worst era practically right now. We have people getting
Oh, I said
maybe it's
HR,
UK.
not PR.
Yeah, HR era. Like, what era are you talking about? People are saying the N word like more than ever. People are being more like, people are being more vile. Like,
more than
I don't
ever?
understand. More than ever.
So
Do you
HR,
not,
HR
again, you're
implies
not
that
educated.
people.
A black man just died in your country.
Random personal
A
attack.
black man just died in your country.
All right, guys. I'll bring
What
you
do
guys
you
up in
think
a
that
minute.
is?
I need more time. Me and Todd are about to have a good conversation, so I'll bring you guys up in a minute. I don't want to distract you, Todd. I think you have quite a few questions / comments, so maybe we should go through them sequentially so we can have a good conversation. I do appreciate you coming in to at least speak to me about it. It's always nice to do that. I think you probably maybe don't know about me, but I love personal engagement. So let's start with Nigeria. You see, you're very passionate about Nigeria. That's what you want to talk about first. We start with that. We can have a list. So on the Nigeria point, your point is that I make videos that embarrass Nigeria, right? And it gives people license.
You make videos that enable people. And in your comment section, you don't even disagree with them. That enable people to talk shit about Nigeria.
I mean, aren't there people in Nigeria talking shit about Nigeria now? Like if your child was kidnapped, or you can't buy fuel because it's crazy expensive, or you were just arrested by the EFCC, like I did a video about yesterday, for cyberbullying in the department. Do you think those people are talking shit about Nigeria, and do you think they should be, or do you have a right to, or would you try to stop them saying
They
that?
have a right to. They have a right to.
Okay. Do I not have a right to do that because I'm not Nigerian? I'm Nigerian, by the way. I'm sure you know that.
You have a right to do that.
Okay. So what's your point?
But there are people who leave hate comments in your comment sections. Do you know this? Are you aware of this?
Yeah, sometimes I see them.
Don't you think that enables people to do this? How I say? Don't you think that enables a bad perspective generally on like the country? Like now people just it's like a snowball effect, right? It's gonna start from like, okay, there's this general consensus, and soon everyone's just gonna be like, Nigerians are this, Nigerians are that. You're gonna have bad stereotypes just normalized out there, which is a normal thing to do. It's normal to criticize your country. It's normal to say, okay, this thing. It's normal to complain. What I'm saying is, you enable people who, in their country, probably have similar problems. Come on your comments and start shitting on your country.
So how would you moderate my coverage then? If I have stuff to say about Nigeria that you agree is bad, and you say you're okay with me saying it, if you were doing content like I was doing, what would you do differently?
If I was doing content like you were doing, and how people do content like you're doing, you wouldn't like, because I see you also like the comments, right? It's not like you just ignore them.
Which
Because
comments
you
have I
obviously
liked
have
that
the
like what, are they racist to racist? I don't know.
It's not racism. It's just like they're like xenophobic. I still love South
I like
Africans in your
xenophobic comments about Nigeria.
Yes.
Show me one, please.
Hold
Go
on.
find
Let me
one.
see.
Go find one.
If I
Oh,
can.
you can send it to me after. Don't waste time because we're talking right now. You can send it to me. Don't go off and talking, bro. Just find it later. when you find it, send it to me. All right.
I'll send, I'll
So
see if
I
can.
guess if you claim that I like these comments, you wouldn't like the comments. Is that the difference?
I wouldn't like it. I'd probably delete this. I'd probably be like, I'd probably say things in a more measured manner. So like the idea of like, oh, some things happen uniquely in Nigeria is just not true.
I mean, if I'm Nigerian, is the fact that, like, if I'm Nigerian and I want free and fair elections, is the fact that they don't have elections in Saudi Arabia, is that my concern? Should I preface my desire for free elections in Nigeria by the fact that, oh, well, to be fair, in other countries they don't have elections at all. So what's the relevance of the fact that they happen in other countries?
You live in the UK.
So? Do I have to live in Nigeria to talk about, like, Nigerian stuff, or is that your point?
There's a
Where do you live? Sorry.
I guess
Where do you live?
that I live in the US.
Okay, all right.
There's a normal trend that goes on. I'll give you another example. Maybe you don't understand it, or I'm not explaining it in the direct terms.
The explanation is not.
There's a direct trend that
I'll continue.
There's a direct terms that trend that goes on when you see Cubans, when you see maybe Haitians or Venezuelans, people who flee their countries, go to America, or Iranians. For instance, you're aware about the Iran situation.
I'm aware of the
right?
situation, yeah.
Iranian situations who flee to America and then be like, you know what? They start like, this campaign and like disproportionately bashing their country. Like if you see Cubans who like Cuba for like Donald Trump, they're deporting them right now. Venezuela, same thing happened to them. So my point is that like these things happen, and I see you as one of those people that now you've created an environment. I can go back and look now that it's a fair thing to say that you enable people in your comment section to do this, not just you or not just this particular topic. Every other, like, as a social media content creator, every other scenario this happens. Whether you're like a internet person and you talk about stuff, you want to make sure you're not enabling people to be doing like awful things in your comment. Do you ever think about that? Do you try to do that?
I don't.
If you have, what steps have you taken?
I don't try to do that.
Okay.
That's not my job. I talk about the things that I want to talk about. People react to them how they want to react to them. When Tinubu is stealing money, does he consider the fact that makes Nigeria look bad? Does that bother him? That
No.
when he goes to the UN, that people are talking about, oh, that's the guy that leads the poverty capital of the world. So it doesn't bother him. Why should it bother me? Am I embarrassing Nigeria more than the people that are causing hundreds of thousands of people to die from preventable diseases? Am I leaving Nigeria more than the people that are presiding over a bandit crisis where we have radical terrorism rampaging through and carrying large swaths of the country. Who's more embarrassing Nigeria more? Me or those people? Okay, all right then. So if someone that lives in Zamfara chooses to talk about the fact that half of their state is literally run by terrorists, and if that leads South African people to say, oh my God, look at these Nigerians who their country is overrun by terrorists, that's good. That's my. You see, the other thing we haven't talked about is like my policy is to embarrass Nigeria. I don't know if you come across that video. I want to embarrass Nigeria as more like I want everyone to know. I'm not okay with just a few people in Nigeria. I want the whole world to know how embarrassing Nigeria is, because that's the only way we can get any true change. I don't know if you're aware in Nigeria, if you want the government to change their policy, you have to post it on social media. If the government, I did a video, I don't know if you come across it, maybe I don't know how much you stalk my page. They arrested.
I don't stalk your page.
I mean, you probably should be, actually, to be fair. A university student over 2 months ago for cyberbullying the EFCC. And she was remanded in prison for making a tweet about the EFCC. The head of the EFCC had her arrested. Do you know how she got released? Showore, one of the activists in Nigeria, he posted about her on social media. And a bunch of Nigerian people started saying, this is crazy. How can you arrest someone for 2 months? I'm sure maybe that tweet, some South African people, some Venezuelan people, some Brazilian people, they were like, Nigeria's such a backwards country. We're just arresting people for bullying government departments. But do you know what happened a few days later? She got released. Even the EFCC said they released her because of the compassionate pleas of Nigerians, meaning they were embarrassed enough because they saw the tweet. Now, do you think that girl was saying like, oh, you guys can talk about this, but be measured and acknowledge the fact that people also get arrested in Iran for speaking against the government? What the fuck does she care about that? I understand your position.
There are two things.
Yeah, go on.
There are two things I'll say to that.
Go on,
First of all, it doesn't matter what good you do. You know the guy who does To Catch a Predator? Do you know that guy?
The Vitaly or something? The guy, content creator guy?
No, he does basically a show in the US. Basically, he's like To Catch a Predator show.
Yeah, Moonlight as like a
where
like
he
a
like
child, like an underage person. I think I'm aware of it. Yes. What's your point?
that guy is a horrible person. Yeah, obviously he's doing
Random
it
facts.
for a good cause. There's a good cause, but he's a horrible person. His intentions are not pure. Like you can say whatever you want about like, oh yeah, and sometimes it leads to like one predator got caught. And another time it's like hundreds of people get like
So what's
your
point,
actions ultimately will have a negative impact, and your negative impact will not impact Tinubu the most. He will go on living his life like he always does. He will retire from presidency whenever he loses the election eventually, whenever he decides he doesn't want to be president again. He will be fine. That's my point. My point is these stereotypes, these negative things will affect everyday Nigerians who are not you.
I don't really get the presence and like the Catch a Predator point was completely irrelevant to the point you're making, to be fair. But again, you and I just
it's irrelevant because I think you're capitalizing off these people's problems. You don't experience these problems yourself.
So when journalists report on war zones, I guess they're capitalizing because they're not in war. And yes, people are gonna watch it because it's a massive story, but they're exploiting the people in war by talking about it because they're not in war themselves.
Yeah, but like they're not all journalists are like I guess good journalists, right? They're journalists who are basically state propaganda journalists, right? They're journalists who are like people who actually care about journalism. So I guess my point is, again, I didn't say you cannot do journalism. Mm-hmm. My point is how you do journalism. Are you for the side of the people that you actually care about what your actions do? Because again, the idea that you think your actions can never have negative consequence, that will be experienced by the people who are not the people you intend to.
So if South African people have a backwards view about Nigeria because of the things I say, so what? What can they do? What of it? I don't care what they think. When MLK was talking about the fact that America is a backwards country that still practices racial segregation, yeah, the Russians were able to use that, or the USSR, as propaganda. So fucking what? Yeah?
You're comparing yourself to
when Cassius Clay, if you don't understand analogies, I can break it down for you. Yeah, but when Cassius Clay, or who's now Muhammad Ali, was saying the Viet Cong didn't call me no N-word, and pointing out the fact that I don't want to go kill random, Vietnamese people because my government wants me to, that embarrasses our government. In fact, I'm sure the Viet Cong, I shouldn't call them the Viet Cong, that's a racist name, but the opposition in Vietnam, they were probably printing that and handing out pamphlets trying to show the soldiers that are there, like, look what your fellow Americans are saying. Don't be fighting and murdering Vietnamese people just because that's a racist thing to do. That embarrasses America. So fucking what? It should embarrass America. That's the whole point. The thing itself is embarrassing. If Vietnamese people now have a negative view of Americans because of that, good. That's actually a good thing. And it has no meaningful effect. Of course, if you don't understand it, like I said, I can explain it to you. But of course you don't understand.
Because you have two opposing classes of people that are distinguished by race. So this is not the same thing as Nigeria. Nigeria is a homogeneous country, race like. For instance, you cannot say the same thing about like
the point is not meant to be literal that like Nigeria has, what are we talking about? The racial differences of Nigeria and America are not a point here. The point here is that it's okay to embarrass your country if you're making a good point. The fact that your country is embarrassed by it and other people look down on the country. No serious person watches my videos and says, oh my God, these poor people that are poor and desperate are the problem. No serious person does that. And if they do, they're stupid. But I don't care what they think anyway, because irregardless of what they think, I'm not doing it for them. If someone looks at the video I have of like people surrounding the rich people's cars and trying to like get money of them or damage their cars or whatever, and their point is that, oh my God, all these poor people have mental problems or whatever. That's obviously not the point. People that have sense look at that video and say the fact that the country is so bad is a problem. And of course, the people that are responsible for the country being bad are the leaders, not the poor, helpless people that can do nothing about it. Everyone knows this, bro.
Not everyone knows this. The internet is full of stupid people and impressionable minds. That's the point. It's full of impressionable minds. Okay. And your videos are, they're going to use as the basis for something else. Like, it might not be the nail in the coffin that's like, okay, yeah, someone's going to watch your video and be like, yeah, okay, Nigerians are this, Nigerians are that. It's going to, like, when people if everyone was on the internet like you, do you think we would have, people already have preconceptions about us before they even meet us? Do you think they distinguish between rich Nigeria and like poor Nigerians? I'm not talking about you because obviously, well, not you. I'm not talking about people in Nigeria because obviously, right? But I'm talking about people abroad, like the diaspora. Do you think when we face people, do you think they will deal with us with like no preconceptions and no negative stereotypes based on, if everyone, let's say everyone was like doing what you're doing, right? Every person who was online was doing what you're doing. Do you think we'll have no stereotypes, no like preconceptions against us?
I think if everyone was doing what I was doing, Nigeria would be a better place.
It wouldn't. The problems in Nigeria is not because of corruption. But moving on,
all right then.
You think the problems in Nigeria is because of corruption?
I guess we'll never know.
No. It's a silly comment to make because there are corruption everywhere. Do you know how much your government is missing? Do you even look at your government at all? You live under the UK government. Okay. Do you know how much your government is missing? Do you know how much corruption is in your government?
I mean, when it comes to that specific issue, I don't care about corruption. If I'm talking about Nigerian corruption, I care about corruption.
See, this is what I'm saying. You don't have like a balanced perspective on anything. The United States of America is very corrupt, and they're doing very fine. The UK is very corrupt. They're doing very fine.
The UK is relative to Nigeria. You're saying the UK is very corrupt relative to Nigeria.
China is a notoriously corrupt country. They're doing very fine. The problem with Nigeria is not corruption.
What is it then?
When it comes to financial like money we lose based on corruption, it's less than 5% of the money we lose. We've done analysis.
What are you
done analysis?
You're losing. Wait, by the way, is your dad a governor by any chance?
Fuck no. I hate nepo babies. I hate fucking like when they come to America. I actually shit on them. I embarrass them. See, that's something I do. When I meet a nepo baby or like I meet a person who's a politician's daughter, I embarrass them. I speak to them in person. But you going online to embarrass like Nigerians in public and foment hate against Nigerians and foment stereotypes against Nigerians? Yes, it is.
I mean, is it my fault that the country's bad? Like I said, who's embarrassing Nigeria more? Is it me or the people that make it the poverty capital of the world? Who's more embarrassing Nigeria more? Just me that have 20,000.
Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world?
Yes.
So what is Argentina?
I guess from your privileged perch
what is
in the Big Apple, you wouldn't be aware. It just gives you some facts. Okay, Nigeria has the highest number of people living below the international poverty line in the world. That makes it the poverty capital of the world. Again, I guess this is why when you don't have the facts about how embarrassing Nigeria is, you can see what you're saying. now you're saying,
it's fine,
what's
but
Argentina? What the fuck's that got to do with
what
Nigeria?
is Argentina?
Nigeria is the poverty capital.
What is
of the world.
Argentina? What is India? What is
What's
India?
that got to do with
What is
Nigerian
Argentina?
person? Why do you care about what India's doing? They care about Nigeria because they're Nigerian. I'm Nigerian, so I care about Nigeria. I don't care about what India's doing.
Are they not also as
No,
poor
Nigeria is
as
the poverty
Nigerians?
capital of the world. Nigeria has more people living below the extreme poverty line than anyone. Well, maybe that's increased now.
What?
In India's population. No, it's worse than India. You guys
That's
don't
just
even know
not
that.
true, bro.
It's not true.
That's
No,
just
anymore.
not
Maybe
true.
it's changed recently. But I promise you that is true.
There are other countries. But my point is this, yeah.
Okay, go on.
You don't see. You have to show me a comparable example where Argentinians like go online and start.
I don't care about what
commenting hate on
Argentinians do. I'm not Argentinian.
And why wouldn't you care about them? You don't live in the world
Nigerian.
alone.
I'm
You
Nigerian.
understand? We interact with other people, and our position, not our position, and our I guess argument is also relative to other people. You cannot have your I guess tunnel vision mindset and on Nigeria alone. It's just not possible.
It's not possible, even though I'm Nigerian. Does that make any fucking sense?
You're not in Nigeria. You're British. You're British, bro.
So because I'm not in Nigeria, I can't talk about it. Okay.
You cannot talk as
Alright.
though you are in Nigeria.
I can
You
talk
cannot
however
see,
I can talk
I'm not
however I
saying-
want.
You cannot
I
talk
can
as though you
however
are
I
in
want.
Nigeria, right?
I can talk however I want. I can talk however I want. No, you can't tell me, a Nigerian person, how they can speak about their country. No one has that right. It's not your country more than mine. I can choose to talk about Nigeria however way I
No,
want.
I can tell.
The people,
I can tell a
the people that
guy.
talk worst about Nigeria.
I could tell a.
Go on, sorry, go on.
I could tell an Iranian who lives in Palestine, who lives in America, that he can't talk the same way an Iranian who's in Iran facing the threat of bombs are speaking.
You
Because
cannot
if the
say
Iranian
that.
in America, hold on, if the Iranian in America is saying we need Trump to come save Iran from this and that, and they're bombing the Iranian in Iran, I can tell them that these people you cannot equate these people to the same. They don't have the same level of one is facing bomb threat, the other one is living in America,
All right,
talking about we need America to come save
let's
us.
move on to the next issue. I think you and I probably won't agree on this. I don't think you're really making.
I want you to hide the fact. Someone said I want you to hide the fact about Nigeria. I don't want you to hide the fact about Nigeria. I want you to be a balanced person. Why are you so narrowly focused on Nigeria?
So if I was like running for politics in Nigeria, and I'm trying to point out, like, let's say I was
You're
like
not.
an activist in Nigeria. I mean, I could be. You don't know that. But would I have to always qualify my critique? Like in the UK, when Reform is campaigning on immigration and how all these small boats and illegal immigrants coming in, they have to always point out like other countries have it worse. Why would they need to do that? What's the relevance?
Because it's like when you say again, UK do not get the most immigrants. That's the thing to point out. So when they shout like, "Oh, you come to UK," it's a perspective thing. First of all, second of all, you live in the UK.
Okay.
If you talk about majorly UK issues, I would understand because it affects you directly. You spend your whole channel just on Nigerian stuff.
I spend my whole channel on Nigerian stuff. Have you been watching?
At least the
When
videos I've
did you
seen.
last start watching my? Start watching my channel, buddy. I mean, but
I've seen like 3 of your videos.
but suppose I did that. So what? I'm Nigerian.
I'm concerned about the semantics. I'm concerned about the stereotypes that will negatively affect people who
All
maybe
right,
you don't intend to affect.
let's move on to the next issue, please, if you don't mind.
Okay, the next issue was the black women and the PR thing or the HR thing. That we currently live in the best HR time ever. Is that what you and that girl was saying?
So I think the point. I don't even remember how we started the point, but the original point, just to give you more context, so you can understand. The original point we're talking about was the identity politics era we're living in through now. So I think I was saying like we're going back to an identity era, and I showed that tweet of the light skin stuff to say like, there's a correction with this stuff where like now saying stuff like this is kind of seen as progressive. So flexing the fact that you don't hang with light skinned people, you don't like light skinned people, like light skinned men are weak and effeminate, and all that kind of stuff is kind of now seen as cool, which is again identity politics just packaged in a different way. And I think she made the point and said like, but like dark skinned women still get a lot of hate. And I was like, you cannot make this tweet about dark skinned women in 2026 on the internet. It just would not happen. Or maybe some dark corners of the internet, people that have like 3 followers and trying to rage bait and stuff. This girl has like 250k followers, if you can see. someone with an account of this size could never, as a black person, could not, not never. They couldn't make a tweet about this and say dark skin. And the point was like, again, things have changed from like the 2010 eras. So like that's the point I'm trying to make here. That it's identity politics, but in a different way. And so that's when we go into the minutiae of like UK Beast and stuff. I think she was trying to push back. I think someone was trying to push back in the comments saying like, yeah, we talk about UK Beast and all that kind of stuff. And I was going to make the point that the UKB stuff is not specifically a color issue. But then we kind of lost the thread and then all that kind of stuff. But you have a very interesting perspective in the world. But go on.
So first of all, the idea that people never said this before is just wrong.
I didn't say they never said this before. I said in 2026, you won't find an account of this relative size of this kind of person saying this about dark skinned people. That's my point. Not like
no. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying the idea that we dark skinned people, or we, I guess, black people, dark skinned people, did not say this stuff before. I guess that's just not true. It's been a thing, and it's part of the resistance against the. Do you know what blanqueamiento is?
Who?
Do you know what blanqueamiento?
Blanqueamiento. What is that? I don't know what you just said, mate.
So it is a colonialist strategy. It is called, I guess it's Portuguese like word. It's called the whitening of the populations, where colonial countries would I guess get married to, or I guess breed with the population they're colonizing to whiten the population of that country. It was very popular in Brazil. It was successful in Argentina, but the idea is we've always had this kind of like notion of like not messing with lighter skinned people. It's not a new thing. It's not a 2026 thing. It's always been a thing. Even Muhammad Ali, which you so like so much, said exactly this.
I like so
Muhammad
much.
Ali. Yeah, because you quoted him. He said exactly this. He said, "I'm not marrying a white woman." Like he said exactly this.
So what point?
The idea that it's starting now.
What's the point?
It's always been a thing. It's always been a thing.
What's always been a thing?
It's always been a thing that people don't like, mixing with lighter skin people, people of dark skin people. It's always been a thing.
Wait, so now you're confusing me. Is the point you're trying to make now that like we're not colorist anymore? Or I don't get it, bro. You're losing me. You're losing me. I don't know what you're saying.
The point I'm trying to make is you're painting this perspective that all of a sudden, because of the overcorrection, then we have this like I guess colorism, or like resistance, or I guess towards like lighter skinned people, or just white people in general. My point is, it is historically and always been a thing that darker skinned people always resist against this idea of intermarriage or intermixing with like this people, or like it's always been a thing. Like even in the age, like Angela Davis said this. Like most of our leaders have said this. Like not just this girl on Twitter, because it's like it's now it looks weird now because of the time we are in. But it's always been a thing that we don't mix with them.
With them?
Do you acknowledge this? Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what you're talking about, because as I said in my original thing, we're not Nigerian. The Igbo people are known.
Wait, look it up.
Very light.
Look it up. I'll type
but
it.
Yeah, the point you're making is not really you're losing me. Anyway, is there any other point you want to make about identity politics generally, or anything, or Nigeria, or whatever, before you
look up the word and look up the policy behind it and the resistance towards Blackiamento.
I'm not gonna do that. You're not really making sense. Of course, the Igbo people aren't always light, Melly. Don't be silly. No one is saying that. I'm just saying, well, anecdotally speaking, as
are you Igbo?
No, I'm Yoruba. As a proportion of like the population, you have to clarify. Yes, I'm aware of this, Melly. What? But anyway, fair enough. Thank you for clarifying. Anyway, I like your audience. All right, any final comments from you, mate? You've lost me, buddy. Honestly, you kind of went all over the place. Obviously, you and I disagree severely on the initial Nigeria point. Like I said, as an intentional strategy, I try to embarrass Nigeria. That's my aim and goal. If that results in other people, laughing or mocking Nigeria, if people want to mock Nigerians specifically, like I think people that if you mock a poor person for being poor and doing stuff that poor people do, that speaks more about you than it does about them. If I see a homeless person on the streets now, if someone started making videos about homeless people in the UK, people that have sense won't look at them and be like, oh, look at these dumb homeless people. They'll look at them and be like, why the hell do we have so many homeless people? And they'll look at that as, A, a failure of our economic system, but also B, lack of adequate government policy to address that. Idiots, who are the third people, will look at that and be like, oh, homeless people, ha 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 ha. Nothing's funny about that. And doesn't speak to the badness or the immorality of homeless people. That speaks to the policies and the things around them. Sometimes it's substance abuse, very serious issues that result in that. In the same turn, there's some things I talk about with Nigeria. Like if I remember my most viral Nigerian videos, I can even break them down mentally if I can remember. I think I did one about the fact that Lagos had like poor drainage and like there was like sewage and stuff everywhere after like the flooding issue. Who looks at that and says, "Oh, this is all Nigerians, average Nigerian people's fault"? Are they the government? Are they in charge of drainage and all that kind of stuff? Obviously not. Then you had the one where I did of the people climbing on the cars and begging for money. Yeah, a lot of people complain about the fact that Nigeria has a begging problem. Some people even say like it's a cultural thing because, there are loads of people that are poor and don't beg for money in this way. It's to the great disgust and displeasure of many Nigerians, even the rich ones. But again, that probably speaks to the fact that you have an extremely poor population and you combine that with a bunch of other stuff. Okay, if people look at that and be like, oh, look at all these Nigerians. Some people are even making the point in my comments about the begging situation. Oh, notice how it's all men. Again, obviously, I know they're being satirical because who seriously looks at that and reflects on gender relations and starts, laughing about the fact that, oh, it's all men begging and women are not begging. It's a satirical point. So I'm not going to read that and take it seriously and be like, oh, you guys stop, they're just being a bit funny or whatever, just trying to be funny. Cool. Then you have the video I made about the fact that they apportion loads of money to make boreholes, whereas, they're going to loot the money. Again, who looks at that and says, this is the fault of average poor Nigerians? No one that has sense anyway. Then you have the one about the spotting cars and stuff. Again, kind of funny, kind of satirical. It shows the ostentatious, worship of wealth, which is created. I even mentioned that in the country in the video. So out of all those videos, in which of those videos have I said, oh, all these poor people is just ha ha ha, let's all laugh at the poor people? It's satirical sometimes, but yes, it's meant to be. Sometimes when you cover stuff, people use comedy to highlight serious issues. Sometimes people use poetry. They use, literature. Is it bad because they're also trying to entertain by writing it that way? Of course not. So there's no reason why you have to be like, oh, guys, let's all be somber and serious as we talk about this very serious issue. You can do it. Your delivery can be anyhow you like. And again, no one thinks it's the fault of the massive poor people in Nigeria that they're poor. If you have a country that's the poverty capital of the world, or second, some people say I should be correct in saying that. That's not the fault of all the tens of millions of poor people. That's clearly the fault of the people that are stealing records amount of money to make it that way. And so everyone that has sense is disagreeing with them. Now, if there's some people in the comments that are saying negative things, am I going to go in there and respond to every comment? Why would I do that? Who has time? And yes, some people are pointing out that shame does work. Of course, everyone knows shame works. We should be shaming our government even more. They will only respond to shame. You and I know, like politically, the average Nigerian person has no power to make any political change. They can't do anything about that. What they can do is complain and beg and go online and embarrass and harass the government to be like, make this change. Why did I bookmark this? I bookmarked it just now because I don't know, it might be relevant later. I bookmark a lot of stuff. You guys see my bookmarks right now. Let me even zoom out to show you guys a bunch of random stuff. Anyway, do you have any final thoughts before you drop?
I think it's a very convenient position to have the position you have and sort of shift the blame onto other people for accountability and responsibility in the way you talk about stuff. It's a very convenient position to be like, I don't have to worry about the consequences of anything I do because surely all reasonable people will act reasonably. The people we are worried about are not reasonable people. Racism and stereotypes are not based, and prejudice are mostly not based on reason. These guys are not reasonable people. So yeah, the idea that surely, if they are reasonable, they will they'll act in a reasonable manner. It's they're not reasonable. When we have stereotypes of scammers or Indians being scammers, not all Indians are scammers. Do you know what I mean? Not all Nigerian beggars have begging culture, but that doesn't stop the stereotype anyways. That doesn't stop the harm it causes. Now you see it as a joke, but it's not a joke because most of this stuff is leads to when you talk about the media representation in I guess I'll use America, media representation in America and how it led to violence and discrimination against people in America. We have to draw the linkage between those two things. The way people socialized is also part of how they treat each other. When you talk about we have so much less dark skin hate in this day and time, it's because of we've been socialized now. There are more dark skinned people in movies. There are more dark skin representation. So now they don't see us as
But you were saying that's not the case though. Just earlier you were saying this is the worst we've ever had it, and now everyone is saying the N-word. So which is it, bro? You keep on. I never get what your position in anything. Bro, you say one thing and you say the other thing. It's not very clear, mate.
No. I'm saying like the idea that this is the most HR time in our lives is crazy.
I don't think that's crazy. I think if you look at the internet now, again, that's to be clear, that's meant to be a positive thing,
A
right?
man just died in your country. Are
So,
you aware of this?
okay, what's
A
your point?
professor was basically bullied. An autistic professor was basically bullied to take his own life in your country.
Okay, what's your point? Sorry.
There's another black professor. I said black. There's another white professor in his same university who literally plagiarized off of two students'
Here we
work
go.
and did not get the same media
There we
attention.
go.
But then you say we should be kumbaya and all is well and all is fine because you know what? This is the thing. It happened in your country. The fact that you're not incensed by that, the fact that you've never made a video about it, right? Have you made a video about it?
You're such a Johnny come lately.
Have you made a video about it?
I've made several, actually. In fact, people have been telling me to stop talking
About
about it because I've been making too many videos, apparently, according to some people on the internet. But you're Johnny come lately on many issues. You need to get to know, so you can keep up with me. Google me. Look up my stats. If you're so bothered, go on What in the World Weekly, my YouTube channel. I did a 5-hour live stream about this 2 days ago. Last Saturday, I did another 4.5-hour live stream about this, in which we had a whole host of opinions, loads of people agreeing with me, disagreeing with me, many gamuts of opinions, and I've done several videos about it. Again, you'll get to know. So, thank you for coming, though. I appreciate if you can stick around for more conversations. You realize that I talk about a lot of stuff. Again, needless to say, the unfortunate situation that happened with Professor Jason does not make the UK some kind of some kind of racial crisis. That's an anecdotal situation. No one looks at stuff that way, but fair enough. Appreciate your listenership anyway. What part of America do you live in?
I live in Illinois. It's
Illinois.
insane that you say the UK. So let's. I don't know what you said about this, but just one last point before I leave.
Yeah, go on.
One thing I would draw about this about stereotypes is the stereotypes of DEI. Do you know what DEI is?
I'm
The
aware of
stereotypes
DEI.
of DEI is a direct cause of his situation. So it's not an anecdotal thing that you can just shrug off. It's a direct cause. Those people are related to the for instance, the rise of racism in America, the rise of racism all over the world, the whole DI that black people, if they're in position of power, they enter. It's literally directly related to that. So the idea of stereotypes and the harm it can cause is a real thing. It's not just a funny joke online.
I was looking at
Maybe it
someone's
is a
comment,
funny
that's
joke for
fine.
some people.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about the DEI conversation and how I think a lot of this anti-woke nonsense, some of it is racist, obviously. It's a direct response to the identity obsession of the liberals in the 2020s, kind of like pre-Donald Trump second term type of era, where everyone was identity mad and it was all about promoting the first black, trans, intersex woman of color, whatever, all that kind of obsession with identity. Even, people running presidential elections, based on or at least leaning into the fact that they're black and they'll be the first black president. That's also, I think a direct cause of the response you see. So that's my position, where it's like, if you center identity in the positive way, at least you think you're doing it in a positive way, you can't complain when people respond to that in a negative way, because you are the one that chose to make identity the focal point of this conversation. So
We are the one.
we're just
We are the
responding to what you're
one.
doing. I'm not saying you
We are
specifically,
we are.
like, I'm talking about
No.
Go on, sorry.
It's like when you talk to white people and they're like, "Why did you make everything about race?" We are the one that made identity like a thing, a thing we talk about in our politics. Do you know they don't use we had to make laws so they hire black people. So the idea that identity politics would have never been a thing if everyone's like meritorious and all that stuff is just not true. They just specifically did not hire black people. It is known, like even before the identity politics, it benefits white women the most. I don't know why they made a race thing. It benefits white women the most. They specifically did not hire women. They specifically kept women out of position of power to make decisions or decision making positions. It was a thing, and that's why they had to correct it.
It's a new phase. The 2020s one was a new phase. It wasn't just quite like, okay, we're promoting people because we want to have more equitable, where people that were like of a certain identity and they were deserving of a position didn't get it before just because of their identity. That wasn't what was happening in my view. What was happening was it was intentionally leaning into trying to, in my opinion, weaponize identity for your own political ends. It's a bit like, remember when the Democrats did the kneeling in Kenta cloth and stuff. Remember after George Floyd died?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? That's a good example of what I'm talking about. They're speaking to or trying to appeal to black identity in that. But you can see like they're clearly just doing it just to satisfy their own political ends. They're trying to coalesce black people behind their political cause. Not because they want to do that because, we will help you improve your state or your lot. They're doing that for some kind of brownie point so they can get their votes and use it for their political ends. It's the same thing. So when a company is advertising, having the first black trans woman director of whatever, they're not doing that because like we're just promoting this person because they deserve it and they wasn't able to get it before. We're doing that because this is sexy now and it makes us look good and it speaks to like our kind of, responsibility.
Did you seriously have a problem with that? Like,
yeah, I do. I think I don't want people
seriously
weaponizing
fundamentally have a
identity.
problem?
I don't like identity politics as a thing. I oppose identity politics because again, I think when you center identity in that way, people then use it against you. So if you think that company I just gave you an example of, it's all well and good if they say we're going to promote this woman because she's a black trans woman, intersex, etc., etc., etc. If eventually stuff now goes wrong because they've chosen to center our identity, then someone else on the right wing, for example, will now focus on that identity and say this goes wrong because of your identity. Now, again, they might be wrong. There have been cases where some people maybe are not qualified or whatever, but you can't complain about them now trying to maybe joke about your identity when a large part of the reason why you are there is because of your identity is being weaponized. That's the reason why you're there, because someone wanted to use you as like, the token black person or token, like that kind of stuff used to happen, right? Like there's a reason why that phrase exists. So if you're being promoted in large part because of your identity, if someone then chooses to use that identity to undress you, how can you complain about it? That's the reason why you're there. And that's why I oppose that. That's why I think MLK said, let's judge people by the content of their character. Because MLK knows that America was a racist country, but he wasn't trying to say, let's just promote black people because they're black. He's saying, let's just try and, as much as possible, focus on people being good or bad at their jobs, right? I think that's a good position to have. And
You obviously need to read more of MLK. He didn't stop there. He also said some other stuff. That's why they killed him. But when you talk about like this situation of maybe I'll grant you, right? So I'll use this case. I'll use two examples. Mam Dami situation. It's like the people in the conservatives, every time they hear, it's like, oh look. He's doing two good things, so you think he's a good mayor. Like he's trying to like do this, so you think better of him. You think I don't know? You think I care about that? I care about what gets done.
Exactly.
Right? You talk about the BLM riots. You talk about BLM riots. Do you think I care about like the 20% of them who are like violent opportunists who just want to cause trouble?
I personally.
Or do I care about the 80% of them who are there? So you care about the 20% more than the 80%?
Yeah, because I think okay. Let's not get into that. I'll let you continue. I don't want to distract you.
Okay, so I care about the 80% more than I care about the 20% because the 80% is the vast majority of people who are peacefully protesting. The 20% who are troublemakers cannot make the 80% protest. I guess troublemakers too. Like it doesn't work that way. Like maybe there is the case that in 2020 or whatever, it is the case that it is okay. Some people were like obviously misusing this, as it is with all systems, as it is with all policies. No matter the policy or system you have, some people will try to misuse, abuse, and weaponize that system.
Yeah.
You cannot take that out of reality. So it is the case that will happen. But I'm not saying that it's just like a pandemic to just abandon the cause. You don't abandon the cause or like abandon like what you're trying to do. You maybe like make more rules to like have more fair like rudimentary or like rigorous check-ins of people that are hired into positions. Like you cannot just like, okay, now because they're trying to like manipulate and abuse the system, we're gonna raise our hands and say, oh, what can we do? We just have to like drop the whole system in general.
Fair enough. All right, appreciate your time, mate. As always, I do love when people come in and challenge me. So hope you're able to come back actually for more conversations. I mean, you should have been
I'll
here.
go do some screenshots. If I ever see you again, I'll send you the screenshots. But yeah, stay safe.
Evidence. Bro. See you later, man. Stay safe as well. Well, that was really fun. Kind of took me a bit off the path I was meant to go down, but this is what in the world radio. Sometimes you have someone call in and they don't say what you think they're gonna say, but doesn't mean you can't have a fun conversation nonetheless. I've been going for 1 hour 39 minutes and I have 941 likes. Do you guys hate me? What the hell? Let's tap the screen. It helps me get more people in here, and it's just good for my growth generally. it's bad for my metrics if I have less than 1,000 likes after 1 hour 40 minutes. It's like this guy's just in here bullshitting. I know some of you wanted me to like get Todd off a lot earlier, but you know, I don't know. I'm a stickler for maybe I enjoy it a bit too much when people disagree with me, but it can just be really, really fun. Like it's more fun than when people agree with you, if anything, because like when people agree with you, there's not really much to say. Like, okay, you and I agree. We just start saying so basically, yeah, so I agree with that. Oh, boring, boo. Let's get some disagreement. So this live stream, I won't say it hasn't gone to plan because I actually wanted to intentionally work on trying to have some more roving live streams. Maybe it doesn't help initially because it's always good to have a point of conversation that you then branch off from. But I was talking about a few things. I'm talking about the great young conservative shift. Someone just came in and said, this is why FBAs delineate. I'm not sure what they mean by that. 80-20 mean that 1 in every 5. That's insanely high. You know what? I never actually reflected on that, Jake. That's a fair point to make. That's a fair point to make. 20% of people in the protest being violent. Can you imagine if 20% of the pro-Palestinian protests were violent? Huh? The army would have been deployed to London. You know when we had all those 500k people marching in the streets every weekend? If 1 in 5 people, be 1 in 5, 20% is 1 in 5. And if 1 in 5 of them were smashing up shops and burning buildings and, you know, overturning cars and stuff, that's a crime. Again, I know he was speaking to me. I know maybe he wasn't being exact. You probably just meant to say like a small number of them or something. I don't think it means as high as 20%. So I'll grant him that. If you're Nigerian and you're thinking about voting in the next presidential elections, I'm looking to hear from you about your options and choices. I don't know how Nigerian this audience is in here today. We're talking about the great conservative shift. And by great conservative shift, I'm also talking about, I guess, a identity shift, shall we say? Because I made a video. Actually, I made 2 videos actually. I don't know if the other one's come out already. I need to check if I've scheduled it. But it was ostensibly about a kind of return to identity politics. So we've seen that with the Professor Jason story. We see that with tweets like these. Again, these tweets are not really new. They are quite common, not very common, but quite common on social media. There are also types of, you'll have like gender essentialism, which is also a form of identity politics, right? Like the idea that women are just instinctively more virtuous than men and every man is a brutish brawn who doesn't have emotions, or the only emotions he has are aggression, and women are just this, angelic creatures who can do no wrong. You see that sneaking into our gender politics nowadays. And again, it's always fascinating to reflect on where we're going and what that means. Because I think I started off by showing you guys the other tweet, which was this tweet, which was, again, I did a video about this today. It was meant to speak to some kind of progressivism, which is that, how dare you just want to do something for a man? Again, doing something for a man is probably the worst thing any woman can be accused of in 2026, because why the hell would you be doing that? But this one goes further in, unintentionally, shall we say, assuming that women can't make reproductive choices for themselves, or even the idea that they'd want to make a choice like this to actually just enjoy having sex is actually so crazy, as she says. Like, why would you want to just do stuff so you can enjoy having sex? What the hell is wrong with you? Are you okay? So that to me signals, and again, this kind of stuff is not new, right? It signals a kind of return to conservatism that's actually been branded as like meant to be progressive. And if you think about not only this, but also things that people say stuff like, I blocked anyone that disagrees with me, I just blocked them, or someone has dangerous, what you're doing is so dangerous. Like, they always say that when you don't agree with them, or you don't see exactly what they want them to say. I think it's important to reflect on / investigate, maybe do both, this emergence of conservatism. Some people call it conservatism. I don't know what you might call it, something different, amongst young people. But why is it that basically the more progressive we get, the more conservative we're getting? Like, conservatism now packaged as progressivism, and that's kind of what we're experiencing nowadays. As always, if you have any thoughts on any of those topics, I like people that are reflective and think with their third eye. Do come and let me know what you think. Men, women. I prefer women, to be honest, because I think the biggest shift we are seeing is in the gender space. And maybe, if I don't know if I'll say it started off with you can only have a resolution when the opposition tells the truth. Do you mean resolution? I think you mean resolution. I don't know if it started with like paying on dates, but people always laugh at like those kind of conversations, like who has to pay on the first date, blah blah. But oftentimes, these conversations are always, what's the word I'm looking for? They're a bellwether, shall I say? Like it's on the back of those kind of conversations that you get more, interesting conversations. Where like I remember, I don't know, maybe I'm older than most of you. I remember maybe like 2015-ish when the dating conversation started becoming a thing. Again, I don't know what we were doing before that because like social media wasn't maybe as big of a thing before that. And it was, I don't know, I guess I was pretty young, so I assume I was able to normal for like, I don't know, both parties to pay on the first date. But that's maybe when the first wave of feminism happened. That was like one of the opening acts of woke one, you might say, which was a positive one. A lot of women would say. What's my Instagram? You want to stalk me? Do you mean my content Instagram? I don't know if I want to give my personal Instagram. Wade Brown LDN. Unless you're a bad B, maybe that I'll think about it then. Jake, hopefully you're able to pack your dirty room while you're able to finish with that by the time I'm done. I commend you. Well done for cleaning your room and making some progress on a Sunday. It's always nice to kind of like get your life admin done on a Sunday. I also actually need to kind of cook as well, so maybe I'll do that very shortly. Just message me on TikTok, then I will talk in there first. I don't just put my Instagram in here for everyone. Gotta have some privacy, even though it's not hard to find if you really want to find it. But like, I can't just be that easy. Anyway, I don't want to lose my train of thought. Back to the conversation again. I'm going to try and tell you guys a story here to kind of put a thread together. And if at any point you guys disagree or have any questions about what I'm saying, feel free to let me know. But the way I'm imagining this world is like, we started off with like, actually, why should women have to pay on a first date? Good conversation, interesting conversation. And it came off the back of like, well, if you like a girl, you should pay. Then it started to go into like, actually, if you're the guy, why are you not paying as a gentleman or whatever? Okay, we're getting it. So far, so good. Then he started to shift to, actually, as a guy, how dare you not pay? Okay, you guys won on that one. So now it became heretical. Oh, my light just died. To suggest that you wouldn't pay. But again, that conversation seems innocuous. But I think it's a very foundational. If we start to break down where we get to a position like this birth control in your early 20s tweet, if we draw a line, I promise you that line will reach who pays on the first date. So in as much as people mock the question about who pays on the first date, a lot of the people that maybe now agree or disagree with this current tweet, they have to reflect on the fact that, for better or for worse, the start of these kind of positions were who pays on the first date, in my view. Like, that was the opening act, the opening salvo in where we are now. And so that to me was when gender essentialism started to become slowly entrenched. Because now, okay, women have won the argument on like a guy has to pay on the first date, or even second and third and fourth date. But like, if you still reflect on the reason why that's the case, let's be honest, it is just a gender essentialism point, right? As a man, you should just do that. A lot of men accept it, and fair enough, that's the rules now. But it is really ostensibly a gender essentialism point, because the point is still that it doesn't matter what your social dynamics are, etc., etc., etc. It's your obligation as the man. That's your sex is really the primary reason why you should do this. So that is again to me, the through line you can draw from positions like this to positions like that. So when it now becomes, I guess, cool or trendy or normalized for you to make decisions or do stuff because of your gender, that does two things, or maybe one thing. It starts to become the point then that like the men have all the power and the women are the ones that don't have that much power at all and should be treated like, the vulnerable ones in the situation. Again, if you like your girl, obviously, instinctively, you want to look after her and care for her and protect her, all that kind of stuff. So you just do that. But then as you start to, off the back of that, the foundational idea behind that, more ideas that entrench gender essentialism start to then kind of take root. Wow, I think I'm cooking here, guys, by the way. I'm just doing this off the dome, by the way. I haven't really reflected on this too much. I love my mind. Oh, there is a research I should read. Okay. Please feel free to send it to me. And so back to what I was saying. If you start saying, I think Jazz misunderstands. Men pay for the first date because women take birth control. Huh? Men pay for the first date. Wait, sorry. I think Jazz. I think you're being satirical. I think Jazz is being satirical, but I think she made the point backwards. I think she's trying to mock me by saying like, "Oh, so you're saying that women take birth control because men pay on the first date?" Yeah, I think she's joking. Okay, back to what I was saying. So the through line here is like when you entrench gender essentialism, you're not mocking me. Oh, I don't get what you're saying, Jazz. So when you entrench that gender essentialism, it now starts to get to the point we are now, where okay, if the general gender point is that the men just have to do certain things because they're man, if you disagree with that position, let's say you're a woman that says like, oh, I think a woman should just split it on the first date. Why are you identifying with a man? The battle lines have already been drawn. Oh, she's equating both. Okay, fair enough. The battle lines have already been drawn. You have on the one side the beleaguered, oppressive women who, in fact, I get one said to me, I'm gonna overshare a little bit here. In the midst of a potential casual relationship, she said to me like, when we go on dates, I have to pay because I'm the man. And I think the point she made was like, well, because historically, like, women didn't make that much money. What? So apparently, because like hundreds of years ago or whatever, women couldn't vote and they had difficulty getting certain jobs. That's why in 2025, it was last year, I should pay in perpetuity for every date we go on because of the historic injury or wrong that was done to women because of their gender. That's a serious point that some people make. And again, I don't think this is a minority position. I'm not going to say a majority position, but like, I think if you have to make gender essentialism point, you're going to have to rationalize it in some way, Margot. You're going to have to say something. And if you can't make the point that really and truly is just because you're a man and I'm a woman, I mean, that's really what she was saying. But you have to say it in a fancier way. Like, you have to make it, jazz it up, And part of the way you jazz it up is you start making the historic point. And so the historic point then becomes like, actually, you think about it, women have always been oppressed their entire life. And oh my God, since the beginning of history, etc., which is, somewhat partly true, whatever. But again, things have changed. We live in Western societies. It's not quite, I don't know, the Taliban rule of Afghanistan or anything like that. But there is some kind of comfort to still identifying with like that beleaguered position. It's probably bigger. Yeah. And so we now get all the way. There are some other conversations that happen along that line, which seem to escape me now. But I can't remember now. But we now get to a point where essentially we're now at a point online. Tinder and dating app. Yeah. Good point. We're now at a point now where like essentially identifying with men in any way, so agreeing with them. In fact, you have a position. I'm trying to find a tweet where a girl said something like I'm gonna try and find the tweet. Basically, this girl said something about dating and men, and the initial point of the tweet, she was like, "I hate men and everything they stand for, or whatever." But, okay, this is it. The way my Twitter, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. My Twitter just knows exactly what I'm looking for. It's kind of rubbish I see on my TL. So this is how you make a point that somehow a little bit resonates with something a man might agree with on the internet. You have to preface it by saying, I don't want to sound like a pick me. Very, very important that you say that. Then you have to also say how much you hate men. Very, very important you say that. What last tweet? You might even include the fact that you hate the day they were created, for good measure. But then you make your point about the fact that your point agreed to them. You can't see the full thing. Oh yeah, because should I zoom out a little bit? All right, there you go. Reduce the size. and this is how you make ostensibly a gender neutral point. So the point of this tweet is obviously meant to be like, it's unfair to have the burden on one person. No worries, Andrew, man. Anytime. But you can't say that point because, again, this is part of the identity obsession I'm talking about. Because she identifies with women are going to always be in the right. However, when they're not in the right, oh yeah, you're right. Maybe some of them are grifters. Okay, yeah, right. To be fair, you're right. I should probably take some of these things with a pinch of salt because some people exist on the internet just to kind of make money. But again, I will push back and say like the idea that I don't know if I agree with you, Todd, because the idea that this kind of qualification, maybe not to this degree, like this degree is a bit extreme. Like this this bit right here is a bit extreme, but this bit right here, that's very, very common online. In fact, I promise you, you rarely find a woman making a point that agrees with all. I wouldn't say agrees with men, because again, men are not a monolith. Right? People just think different things, but agrees with an ostensibly male position that doesn't qualify it by saying what you just see there. And that to me, nothing quite, maybe not nothing quite, but like nothing quite explains the identity obsession we're living in. More like that, the fact that you have to qualify ostensibly very rational things by saying that. And I do think it's always important, not always, but it's important to kind of reflect on that and take stock of like what we're seeing there in terms of that polarity. Even you're not even safe from women, because women are gonna come at you. Don't let me defend the man. Yeah, all that stuff is similar. Don't let me defend the man. Like, you guys, I hate when you guys make me defend men. Like, just have a position, right or wrong, and just focus on that. Like, the fact that it defends men or women, like, grow up. It's a bit like in secondary, in primary school, where if you just ask people to pick their seats, you just have like segregation, where older women will sit in the front, the guys at the back, or women will sit on the left, guys will sit on the right, and you can't even explain why that used to be the case. But like, I guess maybe it's obvious because people just sit with their friends and stuff. But like, that's kind of similar. What did Todd say? It's rational to an extent. What's rational to an extent? Sorry, I'm not even focusing on the rest of what she said in the tweet, because that wasn't even relevant to me, if I'm being honest. I didn't really focus. What just jumped out to me was like, like the first two lines was just like, and again, maybe it's also like a kind of radical way to get like engagement online or something, which it's the internet era. You can't put it past people. Litha, what do you mean? You said, how do they engage with women? I find this is how they engage. How do they engage? Sorry, what do you mean? I'm unclear about what you mean. Do you mind clarifying? I'm starving, guys. I might go. I want to go in half an hour, because the hunger is doing a number on me, and I haven't eaten today. All right. Let me know when you've left. But anyway, if anyone has any thoughts on where we are from an identity point of view, please. Is that like a massive problem in your view, Todd? Do you see like a lot of people doing that? Like, is there like a whole cottage industry of women defending men and making it their whole personality? I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm familiar with this industry you're referring to. So to seem like not a men-centered woman. What's so wrong about women being men-centered? If I'm being honest, I think I am women-centered. We just have to accept it, man. We're animals, innit? That's like, that's like a lioness saying, I don't want to seem like a lion-centered. Don't worry. You should be. What's wrong with being women-centered? I know some people say it pejoratively. I'm just joking, but like, I think people shy away too much from being centered with the other gender. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. We are made for each other. Simps. Yeah, simp is not really a thing as well, I don't think, You have some people that can, okay, to be fair, maybe it's a minor thing, but yeah, maybe both. There are people on the margins of both that kind of just be saying anything, but I think generally speaking, there's nothing wrong ostensibly with centering the other person. All right, do let me know if you have any. Woman obsessed with men will ruin her life. I mean, Jazz, what I'd say to that is, like, trust me, there are a lot of men who the obsession with women is doing a number on their lives and they can't seem to quit it. I guess both people on both extremes need to adjust their sensibilities. And I know women complain a lot about the socialization and how you're socialized from a very young age to want men and stuff like that. I don't know where men's socialization comes from, but I think a lot of men probably feel the same way. Like, obviously not to want men, to want women. If they want men, it's fine, of course. We respect the LGBTQ community. But I think what I find is that a lot of men, like, if you might have, consternation about how much women are, take a center of your life, but you don't say, oh, it's got to be socialized that way. I don't know exactly where it comes from, but I think a lot of people want to deny the natural nature of it, like the desire to want to be with someone and, kind of be in a romantic relationship. That is a natural setting for humans. Like, do you know how many animals do that just instinctively? Is it pigeons or is it not pigeons? Is it penguins or whatever that pair bond for life? That is their default setting. they're centering each other. They can't help it. So I don't think that's like necessarily a bad thing. And I think when the instinctive defense to that is to say like, oh, it's just the fault of this unfair, this dastardly socialization that makes us prioritize men. I don't know. I don't know. I disagree with that. I think there needs to be some study done into it. I think a lot of it is biological. And how many people do you know that have been with the same person for life? How many people do you know that have been with the same person for life? I guess my parents, they've been with the same people. I'm 29, so I can't give you older people. I have no reference for for the older population. Todd, if you want to talk, you can just come back up. I don't think anyone else wants to come up, so it's more fun talking to other people than just talking to myself. So I'm open to some counter arguments and counterpoints.
I agree with what you're saying about the women being more conservative as they become more progressive. That's a natural thing. Even the whole I was on Twitter. I don't know if you've seen the bi versus straight men conversation that was happening
Or is
about
it like
how
it's
women are more.
biphobic to not want to buy man?
Yeah.
Do you agree with that or you disagree with
So
that?
I agree with it.
This guy, you and I just never see eye to eye on anything, do we? I disagree with
I
it.
think women. Well, let's take on this topic first. But what I want to say about this topic was I agree with you with the idea that women have become more conservative. But I also want to say like this is why I said I think it's rational to a certain extent. Like when I see women like always like even in conversation of like hairs for instance like pubic hairs and shaving all that stuff you're like would you do this for a man or like what is the expectation of what like men have and what women have like is shaving your hair an expectation you should have, or you know what I
Shaving
mean?
your hair. Sorry, I'm confused.
You've never heard that of a conversation of like people who shave their hair?
The pubic hair.
Yeah,
Okay, and what's the conversation about that?
not just pubic hair, but like shaving your legs, shaving like
Oh, right. And people say like, oh, you shouldn't like you're doing that to appeal to men.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's meant to be like a kind of like bad thing, isn't it?
Not per se, but just like when people are like, okay, we're not gonna be doing this anymore. Like in a progressive, I guess, conversation, people are like, okay, we're not gonna be doing this anymore. Like these are things we've been rationalized or like I guess
Conditioned.
structuralized to
Yeah.
do. Yeah, or conditioned to do. Even like not just shaving, like high heels, for instance, or like the way you dress or something like that. But there will always be this woman that will come up, maybe it's the token or whatever, would be like, oh no. I don't know how to put it, how they would sound, bro.
So
Like
they would say like
I
you
do
want to
this.
keep doing that.
Yeah, they want to keep doing that. They want to do it, and
Oh
that
yeah,
we
yeah.
should do it, and it's not because of men. And it's like
I
So
agree
I
with
get
that
the
though.
the whole like hesitation of you agree with the shaving.
All of it. All of it.
You're conservative, like
No, I don't think I saw a tweet recently by some woman actually who talked about the fact I don't remember exactly what the point was about. Like, was it shaving or something like that? And she just pointed out like, yeah, I'm attracted to men, so I do stuff that they'll find attractive. There's nothing wrong with that.
okay. Let's move away from shaving because I think that's a bit like trivial.
Okay,
It's like the voting thing. Like for
voting.
instance,
Yeah.
conservative women would rather lose their vote than have liberal women vote.
What? Where you get that from?
Literally, this is the conversation we're having in the U.S.
What do you
Conservative
mean they'll
women would
lose their
rather
vote?
lose
Like,
their vote, huh?
did rather go back to like when women didn't have to vote?
Yeah, when women didn't have to vote because
I
women in
I
in the
don't know if I
United
agree with
States,
that, bro. I don't know where you get that from. That makes no sense.
it is a
Sorry
thing.
to cut
People
in
like
here, but I do kind of agree with him. The conversation is stirring up. Yeah, it goes in different ways. Kind of like conservative families wanting to vote as one. So like the husband and wife agree on one vote, but then it brings up the conversation of what if they don't agree on who to vote for in the election. So that's kind of like where the
Yeah,
trajectory of the
but as in
conversation
like,
is going. Just
okay, isn't the point then that people just get with people that agree with them politically already? Like, if the husband and wife are voting together, why is it the case that the husband is like dastardly, convincing the woman to vote in some way? Maybe she agrees with him because they're both conservatives. That's why they got together.
when if family is not conservative, yeah. What if? I mean, if that goes into law, what happens to families that are not conservative? What happens to I mean, it also applies to kids as well. If your child who is 18 is in your family who can vote legally, they automatically have to agree with whatever the family agrees to vote for together, as
Based on
opposed to
what? Who said
individuals
this?
having
Did
their
it?
own vote.
Who's
I mean,
enforcing
I'm
like?
just agreeing. I'm agreeing with Tilden. Like that's the conversation that's currently happening with conservatives and voting
Yeah,
and all
in
the
the
US.
United States
Yeah,
of America, women are like a huge, like they're a huge factor in voting. So
Okay.
they the one that like they have the highest turnout rate. They're like, I guess they're the swing in
especially
most of
white
the
women,
states.
which is why this conversation
Yeah,
is
yeah.
around them mostly. Yeah.
Okay. So what's the point?
So
What's the point we made here? Sorry.
there are a lot of conservative women, I guess, which is like the men-centered women, I guess you would then say in this conversation, who basically are fine or okay with not voting so long as the other women don't get to vote. Like when it comes to abortion, for instance, like they have a particular view on abortion, and it's overwhelmingly on like, so for certain issues it's overwhelmingly on like the women's I guess disposition to it, how they feel about it. So they're fine with the. So for instance, you say for instance that girl who was like on Twitter, she was like, I like doing this, I like doing that.
Yep.
That's her perspective, right? You don't need to like convince everyone of this. It doesn't need to be a national strategy.
Yep. I'm gonna try and look it up.
It doesn't need to be a national strategy.
Explain a bit more because I don't really understand what's going on. But let me look this up.
Yeah, I don't. I'm a Christian man, so we don't need to vote. Exactly.
Conservative women voting. Let me check. Sorry, what's the larger point you're trying to make? Because I feel like I lost you.
The larger point
You're
I'm
talking
trying
about
to
women
make
being
is
more
that
conservative and stuff, right?
the larger point I'm trying to make is that conservative women and women who are
Oh, is
against
that what it's about?
are,
The 19th Amendment repeal thing. Is that what this is about?
yeah, like
Ah,
yeah.
I saw that today, but I didn't really see much of it because I was quite busy, so I didn't really. What is the 19th Amendment?
Women who are majorly in a position of opposition, right? So majorly male-centered women, people who would never defend women's right, would always make this like take, and maybe you don't want to make this take and sound like, oh, I'm one of those people who like what I mean, I guess I'm male-centered. Then you'd have the qualifier of like, I guess it's a bit of a overdone thing. Like, I hate men. You'd probably be like, I'm an independent thinker or something like that. You have like a qualifier of some sort. But I guess it is rational to qualify your position and your view of things before you like say what you want to say. That is, I guess, in opposition to the population or the demographic you're from. For instance, I get iffy about like black people online who want to jump on the defense of white people. It's like they already have enough people defending them. Like, why are you defending them? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, why are you the first
I'll be
person
honest,
to jump
Todd,
on that
you need
defense?
to be a bit clearer when you make some points because I just don't understand what you're saying. But let me get Litha in here to explain something to me. Litha, what's going on?
Hiya. No, so I just wanted to come in on the topic of that first tweet, ne? I think, and just to expand on what I meant with the comment I left. So what I was saying is, ne, I completely understand times have changed, ne? But what I was
This tweet, right?
no,
The other one, the sexual one.
the one about the birth control.
Ah, yeah, okay.
Yes. So what I was saying, what I was trying to say is I get what you're saying. I completely do, ne? And how ridiculous it can get, this whole conversation, ne? But what I find is a lot of people, a lot of men in particular, don't bear in mind the fact that this has all started because of men. Because men, for the longest time, have built their identities off this and their self-worth off this idea of their manhood, ne? And their identity as men is linked to them having money, them being providers, and all of that. I feel like it's just interesting that now that the shift is happening, where women are getting an education, getting better jobs, getting better paying jobs, matching men in how much they earn and all of that, and getting all the freedoms to choose partners more carefully. Now it's an issue. Now they don't want to stand on all these hundreds of years of, we are the providers, we are this and that. Now it's an issue.
Well, now it's an issue in what sense? Like the men
Like
don't
now
like
it's an
it anymore?
issue. Now it's, oh my God, why do we have to debate who pays? Oh, it's unfair to expect that men need to pay all the bills, or oh, it's so unfair that like men are expected to have all this money to have ABCD, or men are expected to have 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like you've built hundreds of years of this image, this persona that men have all this money and men are providers, and that's what makes
who's
men
you, though?
men.
Do
Now,
modern men have any kind of responsibility for the historic, patriarchy? Like, we all born into the same system.
no, but my thing is it's not
Todd just put
like
it in the
historic.
comments.
I'm not
Todd, you
talking
made a
about
big
the
mistake, buddy.
1980s now. I'm talking about look at men and how men view each other. Look at the hierarchy, even within your friend groups. All your friend groups have leaders, and most of the time,
What are you
who's the one?
talking
Who's
about?
the leader? The nigga with the money, the dude with the money. Because why? Because he brings in the girls. He gives you access.
Can you stop
Blah
watching
blah blah
movies,
blah.
Lika? Can you stop watching movies? This is not real, okay? Just stop reading.
You can't tell me it's not real. I know it
everything you
is.
see on the internet, please. Stop reading.
I know it is.
It's not real. It's not real. Stop reading everything you see on the internet.
It is. I know it is.
Stop believing
I know.
everything you see on the internet. It's not
Even
true.
now, you know this.
I know
Like
what?
even in the friends group in the South African context, like these leaders, in the in the friend groups are called Igrotman, right? Which is like it means big brother
Oh,
or
okay.
big man,
Right.
right? So it's like that guy is the most respected, most exalted. He's the pinnacle of what a man is. Yeah. Pinnacle of success. So
What
even
is going on
now,
in South
that
Africa?
is the idea of what a man is. But now when it doesn't work in most men's favor, because
They're not that guy.
socioeconomically,
Yeah.
that's just not the world we're living in now. Right? Now we want to have issue with the expectation that, oh yes, men should provide and men should take care of. Can't have it both ways.
No,
You can't.
I think
You can't.
most
You
modern
can't.
men. If I just speak, I don't want to speak for them because it seems like again there probably is a different country situation here. What you just described in South Africa, to my knowledge, I don't know about that in the UK. We don't have words for like. I think the leader of groups started as some girl making the joke online, and to be fair, to the extent that some friendship groups have like unidentified leader in the sense of like maybe they could be age or like if I have friends that I'm a few years older than just because I have more life experience or whatever that might I might like they might bounce ideas with me in a way that kind of symbolizes like a big brother dynamic or something like that. But I think most modern men don't care enough for like wanting to be the leader. I don't think that's the thing that we care for like about. And I think also you have to remember like most people, even men and women, right? When women say stuff like what you just said, which is that you guys created this system, did we? We were just chilling, minding our business. Like when I was born, patriarchy was existing well before that. I didn't have no say. We're victims of it, if you want to say victims, quote unquote, in as much as the women are. We're all born into a system, and we're just kind of reacting to it. So I think the modern push you're seeing now, in my view, is just a situation where it's a combination of women feel like, okay, this is like a feminist kind of way, but also just because they benefit from it. They're not doing it out of some kind of great sense of like, we really want to overturn the system, we're mad about it. It benefits them, so they're going to do it. Now they kind of launder it in a veneer of like progressive gender identity politics or whatever, and like the progressive thing to do is actually for the man to pay for everything, because historically the woman had no money, and so this is some kind of like gender reparations. That's all bullshit. They don't believe in that. It just pays them, and that's kind of how they see it. So I don't know if I'll Andrew. Let me get Andrew in here. Andrew, you're saying something in the comments. You say you agree with some of it, but you disagree with some of it. What were you saying? Sorry.
Yeah, I kind of get where Lisa is coming from regarding
Oh please.
men pushing back on the expectations of providing
Oh
and being
please.
protective and all of that.
No, you know that.
But it
You know
what do you what do you expect to happen though? Like previously, taking it back 100 years ago, let's just hypothetical situation, men were patriarchal patriarchy peak.
that.
Women didn't have any rights, were not allowed to do anything, could not
Yeah.
do make any individual independent decisions for themselves.
Yep.
And I hate to say this, but it kind of made sense why everything was left for men to do. Everything required a man to do because they already created a situation, the society at the time where they did not need women to do anything. They did not want women to do anything. So of course they'll provide, they'll hunt, they'll build, they'll do everything because that's what they wanted to do then. But pushing forward now where we have the revolution and everything,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't to me make sense to still expect the men who you want to be progressive now to keep the same mindset of
Mm.
protecting and providing and being these macho men while also giving you room to grow. If we are going to provide room for you to grow, then we also have to let go of certain things. It's a give and take situation, and that's why I think the conversation is not nuanced from them. Now, bringing it to the point of men, like them expecting men to pay for dates and stuff, I agree with you. Like you cannot have it both way because right now all of us in the current climate are suffering from the patriarchal standards that were set 100 years ago. We in the current time are trying to change it, make it an equal situation. So of course, a lot of men are going to fall below the line
Mm.
because it's just the way the world works. In every society, we have poor people, we have the middle class, we have the high class. What we are trying to do is recreate a situation where we don't have those three classes. Of course, the elite cannot expect to retain all their wealth when we are trying to recreate a new system. They'll
Mm.
have to lose some of it, a lot of it. They will become closer to the middle class. The middle class will probably not experience so much of a buffer change, but the elite will lose so much because the people below the line have to gain so much to, you know, exist in the climate we're trying. So it's just the normal progressive,
Mm.
is the normal thing to happen,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
it's I mean, yeah, that's basically my point.
Yeah.
It's a
No,
normal thing
yeah.
to happen.
Exactly. I
You
like
know,
that point. That's a very good point. And I like the point the way you framed it in terms of like some of it is like people basically insisting on keeping some of the vestiges of patriarchy, but then still complain that patriarchy continues to exist. Um. So it's yeah. I don't know if how much I agree. I'm seeing some very interesting. Uche in the comments. I'm talking about the great conservative shift. I think she might be a poster child for that. Talking about
I,
talking about um a man has to marry a woman first and give her a ring and all this stuff. Uche, I'm not sure what era you're from. How old are you, Uche? Are you 96? Uh, again, this
I
is
just want to
a
respond to.
yeah. Go on, Todd, please.
I just want to respond to with her. I think you, and I see women do this mostly, especially like some black women. You use what patriarchy there, and it's like patriarchy by whom? Patriarchy by us or patriarchy by the white people? Mostly when I think about patriarchy, I think about it in the terms of like what how that is exhibited in Africa, for instance. Different cultures have different relationships with women. For agrarian cultures, you might see it is more, I guess, patriarchal than non-agrarian cultures like nomadic cultures, or cultures like that, just different structurally. So women had different roles. For agrarian cultures, they need to have more kids so they could farm more lands. So the women was mostly the child bearers. But for like other cultures, for instance, you go to the north of Africa, they don't have the same relationship that people have with like their women there. So it's mostly like, okay, well, we cannot generalize on these terms. Do you know what I mean? And second of all, it's like we cannot equate everyone else that was like in this power structure of like accumulation of wealth, because wealth is accumulated generationally. We did not have that access to, like, we can play the same game the white women are playing with their white husbands. Like they had generational wealth, like to do this little like gimmick. We don't have that. Like
Gimmick.
most people in this like from colonialist countries are poor. Like you cannot be making minimum wage and be talking about like take care of me, treat me like a princess. What? You both make the same money.
Money, yeah. So it's like there is that's a very good the what do you call it? The class angle is simple. Unfortunately, guys, I have to go. I'm starving. I know my lives are usually longer than this, but I'm going to do a wrap up and head off because I'm so hungry. I've only had a sandwich today before I went to the gym, and I went to gym and worked out, so I had to burn that off. Thank you for everyone for joining. I'll do a quick wrap up before I join. Uchi, are you are you one of those like conservative darlings or something? Because you're ranting about single mothers and stuff, and no one's talking about any of that. Are you one of those people that believes that if a man just touches your shoulder, you're gonna get pregnant? That's low key what you're giving. It's kind of funny. And I would like to hear more from you because when I speak about the great young conservative shift, again, I wasn't thinking about it to quite the degree you're kind of espousing, but again, I think you take it to a new level. you might take it to a new level. When you get married, Uche, don't worry. You and your husband, I imagine, are gonna have sex for other reasons than childbirth. Like it actually feels good as well. So like, you get to know that. But I respect everyone and their views, of course. Uche, do you want to come up for 5 minutes before I go? Because I think people were very interested to hear from you. It's okay, you can say no, of course, but again, when I meet people that have very different views, like in terms of like, I guess relative to my views, I always just like to speak to them. That's kind of what this live is also about. Like just speaking to me. No, Uche doesn't want to come up. Speaking to new people is always fun and exciting. Oh, you're busy. Okay, no worries. I mean, you know what? Maybe I'll make a live just for you. Enjoy your child support. Such a dramatic person. That's hilarious. All right, guys, this has been real. I'm sorry I couldn't do longer today, but I'm very hungry and nature calls. I'm gonna go make some food and rest. And Uche, thank you very much. I don't have a child currently, but I'll try and avoid paying child support. Maybe I'll give women a proverbial ring before we have sex. All right, thank you everyone. Thank you for joining. Really, really appreciate it as always. And the next live will be tomorrow or Tuesday. I start going back to doing the live what do you call it, invites, what do you call it, the events, so people can register and stuff. And get back to like more disciplined. Well, I will. So look out for the registration for the event when it comes up. Make sure you register so you can all support me and we can continue to grow What in the World Radio together. All right, bye everyone. Goodbye. Speak to you later. Have a good rest of your Sunday.